All right. Hello, Speed Gaming fans. Welcome to some more Super Metroid Randomizer Racing. This is pre-recorded, so apologies. We won't be able to react to you in chat, but I hope you all enjoy this. This is Zoast versus azder in a quarterfinal match. The winner to face my co-commentator, Kip. How you doing, Kip?
Good, Tracy. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Two of my absolute favorite runners going against each other in a randomizer. Azure, a veteran of randomizers, he won the randomizer league last year. Zoast, I mean, everyone knows Zoast. He of the 40-46 world record any percent time. Really good at randos too. But Azure, with his rando ability, good enough to take this one. But he's going to need to be able to get some route divergence. They do the same route. That's going to be bad for him. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, azder definitely has more randomizer experience, not just in terms of Super Metroid Randomizer, but many people in our community like him and Maniacal and other people that also have randomizer experience in other games that even though it's not the same game, there's still some thought process that goes into that can translate pretty well. With that said, though, Zoast is not completely unfamiliar. He's done several randos. He's been practicing dash a lot. And I will, for anybody out there that doesn't really, probably doesn't know what dash is, it is a slightly altered form of our major minor that with some of the changes, I think actually gives a little bit more edge to the higher execution based player. So someone like Zoast, this is a really good randomizer for him in terms of being able to flex his skill set. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's a really good one for azder as well. It's just that he's playing Zoast, so those edges that he has against most other players kind of disappear here. So
I agree. Yeah, I think you and I talked about prior to this how basically the better you are at speed running this game, the more avenues to victory you have. Like basically you can make some mistakes or the other person can outroute you sometimes and you can still overcome that depending on the level of play. azder's level of play is by no means low. The issue here though is there's always, one person always has better execution than the other, and in this particular case it happens to be that azder is racing pound for pound, the best speedrunner in Super Metroid, especially across categories. So anybody can win, but they definitely are going to be asked to do some tough things here, because I think they both will try to adjust to the person they're playing. I think both of them know they're playing a really high quality opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's going to make this one so much fun. Let's see. Zoast's going to go ahead and check. We have power bombs and missiles. We got bombs in the ceiling. Both runners look like they're going to go check this item. We'll see if either one continues to go through. I know it's a play that azder in particular likes, and Zoast's going to go for it. Let's see if azder does.
Yeah, I've seen Zoast. He doesn't do it like every single time, but he likes this play. And azder went back across. I like azder's play too. I like checking that to see if you can get an extra power bomb or super missile. Or even just regular missile, you get some more ammo. But Zoast likes to do this where he'll go up, and then when he's done, he'll have collected just about everything azder has, but he'll be right at the surface to potentially get a wreck ship if he wants to. So we'll see if that will change the way they play.
Yeah, and a route like this in particular is meant to pop you out at the wreck ship, and we'll see if Zoast does do that. Now, azder going to go up like right here. He often likes that early wreck ship play as well, but this time he's not going to go through that route in Brinstar. And the biggest thing that could help azder in this situation is if the speed booster is on his path before he gets over to Big Pink, he'll have the opportunity to check that waterway without any kind of backtracking, and that's the biggest risk you have here. The biggest benefit is that Zoast will be able to much more easily route in Gauntlet, which is, can't be a suit, but it could be something good. It could be a charged beam, a speed booster, something nice, high jump boots.
Yeah,
very
it's funny.
Easy to route that in.
Funny you mentioned that, because that exact situation happened last night between me and Zinni in one of the races. It turned out that the item at Waterway ended up being like a reserve or a regular energy tank, so it didn't make a huge difference. But a couple small things. We actually kind of have a lot to explain before we get started here. First, you'll notice on the Azure screen that Bomb Chorizo is standing up. That only happens if you have the bombs item.
Yep.
So that will lead me into my next point, which is in the Dash Randomizer, for people who are unfamiliar, it purposefully has made some changes that I guess accent sort of the skill set of Super Metroid speedrunning a little bit more than just simply like routing and stuff. They start with a starter charge beam that does exactly 1/3 damage, so they're never going to soft lock anywhere. But if they never find charge, it can still be very slow.
Yep.
To try to kill major bosses with that. And then another major thing is the gravity suit change, which now allows 50% heat reduction, which is nice. But the main thing I wanted to mention about the bombs are actually a lot more likely in this model to be found in the earlier items, mainly because some of the other changes that we're not having put into this particular tournament. So it's not unlikely to see a Bomb Chorizo fight over the course of several runs.
Yeah, and those changes with the gravity suit and the charge beam are really neat, because it allows the better runners to pick up less ammo because they know they'll have that charge beam. But if you're only on the pea shooter like we are right now, that's still a 900 shot mother brain fight. Nobody wants that. So you still want to find something. It makes these other beams more valuable. Finding plasma, if you don't think you're going to get charged, really not that great, especially if you get it late. But now plasma means a lot if you pick it up, because now if you just have the pea shooter, your 900 shot fight now becomes a 120 shot fight, which isn't that bad. I mean, these guys will both run low % ice enough that they could do it at 120 instead of the 200. So yeah, it wouldn't be bad at all.
We're getting some neat sync here, even though they're on different paths. Zoast will be heading up, Azder's still heading down. Azder and Zoast both just found Ice Beam, which is a fantastic item, has a lot of utility across multiple parts of this run. Zoast already found Spazer. Here's the crazy thing, Tracy. I feel like it's going to take us a while for the audience broadly to understand all the concepts of Dash, just because there's so many balance changes that feed into each other. Mm-hmm. This seed so far is not a great indication. We actually lowered the super missile count by a tremendous amount versus most of the other randomizers, because we wanted for those beam attacks and beam fights to be a little bit more prominent against Ridley and Mother Brain.
Yeah, and you want to remind us what the number of those ammo is, because most randomizers just do a ratio, where it's just an odds of which one you're going to get. But we actually fixed it in Dash. That's
right, and just so there's no confusion to anybody who might be watching this for the first time, I'm actually like the person who created Dash. I've had people help me, but I'm kind of in charge of game balance. And I noticed in a lot of other randomizers that, and it's not better or worse, but I just noticed that there were so many seeds where you would just end up with so many supers that the Ridley fight would just be like really simple. And then you would also get a lot of utility out of that later for Mother Brain too and whatnot. So we made it, instead of a ratio of 3-2-1 or something, we actually put a specific number in the game. Normally, I think it's 14. For this tournament, we upped it to 16. We wanted there to be a little bit more supers for this particular event. So we've got exactly 16 super packs at various minor locations. You can definitely find enough. You can definitely find 30 before you get to Ridley, but I've done a bunch of seeds where I did not. So it forces you to do some beam fighting sometimes, especially if you're going to do the gravity Lower North Fairhill run. You really got to be on your P's and Q's to survive that Ridley fight without 30 supers. So
yeah, a lot of people thought that, with that nerf, not nerf, but the gravity suit giving the extra heat damage reduction, the Lower Norfolk becomes free. Well, it really doesn't. You still need to take into account your ammo, your beam situation, how many crystal flashes you have. A little bit easier than a normal randomizer when the gravity doesn't give you any heat protection, but it's definitely not the end all be all. It's not an easy run. Azder, for instance, yesterday in a race did a Lower Norfair run where he had I think he had 7 or 8 tanks, but his only movement item was Spring Ball to get the rewards from the game, and he did it just fine because he's good. He knows what he's doing there. But that's not something that I think I would try, and it's definitely not something I don't think anyone would try in a regular in some of the other randomizer versions.
Right. And to that end, I guess, we could probably spend the entire race like talking about the dash changes and why they're like that and stuff. But I guess I would just close with saying that technically speaking, we do this randomizer is designed to allow more experienced players to make more aggressive plays. However, there's also a much higher chance of death. So you really have to be careful about what you're willing to try. So it's not like, some people say, oh, it's just so free because now you don't have as many gated items. But that's actually kind of the design of this, is to force you to execute to gain an edge.
Yep.
And that's kind of the fun of it. So anyway, we've got Zoast hopping on in here to Fantoon. Asher's going to head over to Crate, and he'll get 2 major items from this check. Or this location, whereas Zoast, if he wants to try to full clear, will have the opportunity to at least get 3, and he can check a 4th, but that one is still gated by the speed booster.
I like this Fantoon fight for Zoast. It looks, with the energy he has, it looks very much like an any percent fight. Obviously, the ammo's a little bit different as well.
Yeah, and that Spazer Ice combination, but yeah, he's going to clean this up, I would expect, very easily.
Yeah. As you're going to check this extra minor item, sees a power bomb. I like what he does here, and I presume Zoast may do the same. I think in the back of Azder's mind, and maybe in the back of Zoast's mind, they're always thinking about getting those ammo items for those crystal flashes.
Exactly.
Can I skip that Varia suit?
And the cool thing is, sometimes the seeds play out to where you actually get to make that choice. Other times they don't. So, there's no specifically prescribed way that it has to go, obviously, in any kind of randomizer. But I do think the minor item collection is a little bit bigger of a factor for decision making for time here, because you have the option potentially to run into that situation. So let's see this Crate quick kill here. And looks like Zoast found Charge Beam, so his charge shots will now do 100% normal damage, whereas the Azders are still only going to do a 1/3. And he is rewarded with a reserve tank.
What is that, our second, third? We've seen a few reserve tanks already.
Yeah, that's at least the second one.
We'll see if Zoast decides to clear the whole wreck ship.
I think he's going to save here.
Yeah, with this, I mean, even a runner of Zoast caliber, I think saving here is really smart. One, you can reset if the item is trash, which really means if it's a reserve tank. Although at this point, he has so few. But also, this is such a dangerous room. We call it Spike Room of Death for a reason, and those spikes will do like 200 damage if he gets hit by them. Does a very nice job getting through the sponge bath. It's not an easy bomb jump to do. And we see another E-tank for Azder.
Yeah, and that's another, small nuance. I've experienced this in several of my races so far this tournament. I feel like the changes that we made to the gravity suit in some seeds really add extra value to the to getting extra energy tanks. So I don't think that, depending on your route, like Zoast turned that one down because it's a lot of time investment to go back out. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we're going to see either player turn down any that are directly in their path until they get, one or both of the suits.
Yeah, I agree. Now let's see if Zoast just leaves or if he's going to check the other 2 items. You only get one of them unless the other one does happen to be speed booster.
True. He can get knowledge though, which can be helpful.
Oh, that's a Varia suit. So I don't think we're going to see no hell runs, no lower Norfair hell runs today. I can't imagine Zoast missed that when he goes down.
Yeah, hard to imagine somebody skipping the high jump boot location, but sometimes accidents happen. I found myself recently doing some practice and I forgot to check Ice Beam. So you never know.
It happens.
Okay, this is an interesting play. Zoast is actually not checking the reserve, which means that he won't be able to know what it is. He's just going to grab whatever is at gravity and go. So he's going to save some time by not going in there and checking it. The flip side is, let's assume for a moment that, maybe this is a suitless Meridia seed and that's, grapple beam or something you're technically supposed to have. He wouldn't know that it's there. So anyway, I like the play, but, in a really worst case scenario, if it were a really powerful item or a logic item and he didn't know about it, it might be longer before he came back for it.
Yep. Now he can check it from the back. We'll see if he chooses to do that. Because trying to get to that area with the item set he has, you have to do a bunch of little mid-air morphs that are a little bit tricky. Nothing he can't handle. But you can go ahead and wall jump to the back and check it that way. But I don't know if he's going to do that. Let's see if he does.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems to me, and I've never tested it, but it seems like it would be slower to do it that way. But you never know.
Yeah, with Major Minor, I think I agree with you, especially if you're good at those mid-air morphs. If it was a full rando and you had that extra item that you're going to look at the missile spot, then I'd go the other way around. It's better to go ahead and check it from the back. Speaking
of mid-air morphs, I'm really bad at those. I have a really hard time. Yo, azder finding the super missile right here is actually a pretty big deal.
Nice that's a good super missile.
Anytime that you're already at 20 in this upper Norfair section and you have a potential to head down to lower Norfair, super missiles are definitely what you want to see. So that was a great check. I like that check. And he was rewarded for it. So he's in good shape. He can definitely get into lower Norfair. He's got high jump boots, and he's, he'll have no trouble doing the high jump boot lava dive. And so I expect he'll probably check a few more items here, see if he can get a little more firepower or movement, and then he'll make a decision.
Yeah, he could go to Crocomar. He could go straight to lower Norfair. This item set, pretty good, but not great. I mean, for him, he can absolutely handle it with this item set. So will Zoast when he gets around to it, of course. But it's certainly not one of the easier lower Norfairs that you'll ever see. Oh, there's that grapple beam.
Hey, love grapple beam. I feel like the dash changes to gravity. We've talked about this extensively, and I know some people that are watching will have heard this before, but if people who aren't familiar, I feel like sometimes items get buffed or nerfed depending on what you do to other items if you're balancing out randos. And because we buffed gravity some, I think it actually buffed grapple. That grapple beam is very handy in lower Norfair if you're doing a gravity-only lower Norfair.
Oh yeah, the grapple beam. We don't use it a whole lot for its actual intended purposes, but the farming part of it is probably the best part of it. So it's picking up an X-ray scope and doesn't look too thrilled.
No, things aren't going well for him, and he knows it. What he's probably thinking is, okay, if my opponent went down, there's a much higher likelihood that my opponent has found already some very useful things, because I've basically come up with, it's not like X-ray is a terrible item, especially if you end up with plasma and whatnot, but he hasn't really found anything that would be giving him an edge moving forward. So he's probably thinking, if I'm behind right now, if my opponent went down. So we'll see how he adjusts his play moving forward here.
Yeah, and meanwhile, azder picks up a space jump, my favorite item. So that'll be a nice extra bit of movement for him in lower Norfair if he goes there. I assume he is. He's got 25 supers at this point. So really close on just being able to kill Ridley with just projectile ammo. 25 power bombs will supplement the rest if he doesn't want to use any of his starter charge beam, because that ice phaser doesn't do a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, I think it does. So let me explain it this way. Starter charge does exactly 1/3 damage, which is exactly normal beam damage. So if you look at a chart of what, beams do what damage, of uncharged, that's the amount they would do with starter charge. So I believe it's 60. I want to say Spazer and Ice.
Oh, combined, yeah.
Combined do 60 damage. So he wouldn't really have to supplement more than about somewhere between 15 and 20 shots right now.
Yeah, too bad. And it looked like he skipped Wave Beam, which is an interesting choice. Not sure if that's on purpose or not. In fact, in another race yesterday, he skipped Wave Beam going in, picked it up coming out. It turned out to be his Ice Beam, which is what put him essentially in go mode, because you need that Ice Beam or Speed Booster to get through to Bahu in a conventional way.
Yeah, I think, I hadn't really considered doing that, but I really like the call. I want to be careful, because I've seen, I've done a lot of rando tournaments and stuff, and people will say things that they think I'm doing that, and it turns out that wasn't the reason, So I don't want to assume, but I believe what he's doing here is skipping that item so that if he finds like, you know, go mode down here in Lower Norfair. He doesn't even have to go there.
Yep.
But then he can, if he doesn't find go mode, when he exits Lower Norfair, he'll be right there.
Yeah, that wave beam location is very convenient to the Lower Norfair exit, so I suspect either way he's going to check it when he comes out.
Zoast only came into the Kraid fight with 2 missiles and accidentally missed the first missile of the quick kill. And then the backup he tried to run didn't work out, so he lost probably about 20 seconds there on Kraid, which is very unfortunate. You know, probably not completely game-breaking, but at the same time, I mean, speedrunners, we all want to get everything, and sometimes it can be frustrating. But did we just find Gravity?
On the other hand, we just found Gravity Suit, so this is really interesting. Azder can finish the game with this. He's got an Ice Beam to get through Meridia. He's got Gravity Suit. He's got good... Otherwise, he doesn't have Speed Booster, which would be really nice, but has really good movement items otherwise. Now, Zoast is probably going to run right into these. He's not going to skip High Jump Boots. He's not going to skip that first check in... Oh, I mean, he could skip Screw Attack, but that's such a risky play. I can't see him doing it. But he is behind. But he is also a higher execution player, so this is really not over. See if he can catch up. He's also got that Charge Beam, which makes a difference.
Yeah, you know, again, you mentioned Zoast. You're going to be hard-pressed to find anyone in this tournament who is going to out-micro Zoast. With that said, though, you know, this is exactly the scenario that Azder is hoping for. Obviously, he doesn't know what Zoast has done. He doesn't know who has what items, but having a path where he found both suits before Zoast did means that Zoast, you know, unfortunately, some of that time investment in wrecked ship didn't help. So Azder in a pretty commanding position. He's got Ice Beam, which means that no matter what, he can finish Lower Norfair and immediately go to Meridia if he wants to, so he can get to Batuin. He's technically in go mode.
Yep.
However, with that said, though, Charge Beam was in wrecked ship, right?
Yes.
So, and we've already seen this in this tournament. Azder will save some time by not checking wrecked ship. More than likely, my expectation is he'll probably get there, kill Phantoon, and leave.
Yep, that'd be mine too.
So there could potentially be some time that Zoast makes back on Mother Brain and whatnot, but we'll see. It's so complicated. It's going to take a while for us to really know what's happening.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what items Azder checks on his way out and on his way through Meridia. He's very cognizant of how much time things take. You know, he always takes into account, you know, how much is that door transitioning too much versus where the item is, and little details like that. He's really up to. He really knows what he's talking about when it comes to those things, and so he'll continue to check stuff, but he will, you know, kind of check stuff that he thinks. Given the most in terms of time chance of getting something useful. Like you saw him check that Firefleet E-Tank that turned out to be an E-Tank. Pretty much anything there is going to help him. The E-Tank gives him extra safety against Ridley. But what he was looking there most for was a Charge Beam or a Plasma or even a Wave. Like any of those beams would help him out in this Ridley fight in case things go wrong in terms of the ammo.
Yeah, really, honestly, any item, and I'm about to get killed for saying this, but Spring Ball, of the major items, the only major item that he could have found there other than an E-Tank or whatever that would have probably not added much value to this particular part of the run is Spring Ball. Speed Booster would have helped with the Metal Pirates.
Yep.
Screw Attack would have made a lot of these rooms more comfy, et cetera, et cetera. So I like the check. I think it's a good call. One thing I want to point out is Zoast found Varia at High Jump Boots, and one thing I like about SG Live is you get these cameras, and his face was very, you know, he wasn't like happy to find it. And the reason is because, you know, he knows that if someone pat down here first, then that's probably going to give them an edge. Okay, as we're starting with missiles, going to fire off some power bombs. You want to put these in the middle of the room as best you can because Ridley will try and stay away from them. You want them to double hit. Pretty sure this is faster than his current beam combination.
I think so too.
He's going to get 400 per if he does them correctly, as you mentioned, which is probably what, if I said earlier that it does 60 or 70 damage. So it would have taken several shots to reach that. So I like the call there. And now he's going to try and finish out with these 25 supers. Ridley being very cooperative here. Instead of going up, decided to pogo, which allowed him to easily finish this fight.
Yeah,
Very nicely
very
done.
nice, very nice Ridley fight. I don't think you can do much better than that with the item set that he had.
No, that was very, very good. That was a very good fight for time.
Oh, and a plasma beam. That's actually really big. I mean, Zoast will get that too. And so, but the difference in terms of the number of charge shots for Mother Brain 2 is down significantly. Also be nice for Zoast because he'll be able to get through Meridia with he'll have that X-ray scope and he'll be able to actually use it for some microwave strats for both Boptoon and Dragon. Azder's not going to have that option.
Yeah, give me a moment. I'm going to look up, make sure I've got the numbers on some of these combinations correct, because
okay.
It gets kind of wonky. But I'm trying to figure out here that I'm not actually sure if it benefits Azder or Zoast that plasma was there. Like, and I'm talking about assuming, let's imagine for a moment that Azder decides not to check for charge. There are some beam combinations that actually help the charge player, whereas others help the person who doesn't have it. So let me check real quick.
Oh, okay. Well, I can get the numbers. So ice plus plasma would normally be a 30 shot fight for Mother Brain, with charge beam. So multiply that by 3, and we get 90 shots. So it's still, it's going to benefit both players. Which one is it benefiting more? I don't know. Oh, Wave Beam was Wave Beam. Okay. So Zoast is going to be down to the normal 20 shot fight. So that's going to be a huge advantage. It's a 70 shot difference. But I'm thinking without the plasma, we were talking, so Ice Spazer would normally be a 100 shot fight. So it'd be 100 versus 300. And that's a lot of shots difference.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, I guess what I'm trying to say is the stronger the beam combination, the less percentage of time that the ammo will help against Mother Brain 2. Mm-hmm. So I kind of think that actually gave a slight edge to Azder, that plasma was available. The fight would have had to go even further for him, minus the ammo or whatever. So anyway, it's fascinating. There's just so much math going on here, like in every run.
And we do skip the wave beam. This time I'm fully confident that he skipped it on purpose, unless he just completely forgot about it. At this point, the wave beam would help him. Actually, would help him quite a bit, but it also would cost him time to pick it up, and whether that time would be worth the amount of time it would save, I think would be pretty close. So probably just good that he leaves it. And to his point of view, it could just be a reserve tank or something. So
wave was wave. Is that what you said?
Wave was wave. Yeah. So
interesting. One thing I need to point out, Zoast just did that to the maybe inexperienced eye might not have noticed. Zoast actually did a lava dive there that is very uncommon, and I think is only used specifically in max percent GT, which is an extension board category. He ended up messing up the very end of it, but the first part is actually the hardest part, and that was really well executed. It's incredibly tight. But one cool thing about Zoast is he actually doesn't just run the major categories. He does a lot of extension stuff too. So he's actually got like more tech in his tool belt than you would assume just from watching him play 80% or something.
Yeah, I think he's one of the reasons why I consider him the best Super Metroid player in the world is not just because he has that 40-46, but it is because he plays all those other categories. He plays Randomizer. He's done a few ROM hacks. In fact, he routed the Super Zero Mission ROM hack that both he and Azder and also Asi, who's also in this tournament, all have run. So he's super versatile, but and has that world record. So it's just such an impressive player.
On Azder's screen, one thing he's doing really well that most people know, but again, it never hurts for us to explain, some of the physics and stuff to folks that aren't as familiar. The space jump cooldown in water is different than in regular air, and you can spam it, and he's doing a great job of doing that to run some of these strats. Unfortunately, he just kind of accidentally messed up. He's gonna have to reload this room or let this Metroid out.
Yeah,
he's trying to do an ice clip here and just accidentally froze it in the wrong spot or couldn't quite get the jump.
I think it maybe was a little bit high. I mean, this is a pretty easy clip. It's not one I would expect him to have trouble with, and he's struggling a little bit. This might be a bit of nerves. Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, yeah, I'm a little confused by this.
That looked right.
Okay, there we go. I was gonna say, you know, anybody can accidentally mess up tricks, like it happens to me all the time. But that one is usually not one where you get into an awkward position, so I didn't quite see what happened. He's gonna have to. Ooh, this Botwin fight could be kind of slow, actually, with starter charge here.
Yeah, because he has no ammo. 6 missiles right now.
That's another starter charge, actually buffed X-ray a little bit too.
And in fact, in normal Rando Seed, he'd be soft locked the moment he entered because he doesn't have enough ammo to get through it.
Exactly.
Okay, let's see if he gets anything useful at Botwin E-Tank. There's that spring ball. Actually, you know what? If in that exact location, that spring ball is super useful. It'll let him get through this area a little faster.
Yeah, it'll save him a few seconds from having to bomb, but off the top of my head...
That's about all it's going to save him, but yeah, it does.
Yeah, and you might have to correct me on this because there's still, you know, niche situations that I'm not familiar with, but the spring ball Zeb skip, I don't know if that's possible if you don't have wave, or it might just be like way harder to set up, so it might be that...
I've done it before, but I think I've always had wave. So if anybody knows the answer, he does.
Yeah, we'll find out when we get there. But that's a small thing. He honestly, I mean, I hate to say it, but he probably lost more time from the fanfare than he gained back. But it was almost like he had to pick it up because it was in the way.
It's really hard to skip that item. So unless Zoast finds speed booster somewhere, and I can't imagine him looking for it, he's going to have the exact same time loss of fanfare.
Yeah,
like if you have speed. If you have speed, you're just running by that item and looking at it, and then if it's something good, you get it on your way out.
Correct.
And, you know, as you say, you know, spring ball is that item that everybody just loves, but I'd skip it at this point. You don't need it at this point. Spring ball has a lot of really good uses, especially if you're on Suitless Meridia. You can use it to get through worst room in the game, as we talked about earlier, if you don't have high jump boots. It has a lot of nice features, but all those things are kind of negated once you have things like space jump. And a very nice grapple quick kill here.
Yeah, that's a great job. I missed mine yesterday, and it feels bad because you just have to sit there and fly around. But no, you're 100% right. You're touching on, you know, a concept that I think is pretty important to remember. The value of items depends greatly upon when you get them. Some items, like honestly, early spring ball can be very, very good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It has a lot of application, but like once you're kind of in go mode and you get to late game, its usefulness diminishes greatly. But the only place that I could see speed booster being that could benefit Zoast would be like Mama Turtle, and I don't think he's going to check that.
No,
so
I can't see that.
I think we're going to see Speedless.
Meanwhile, he also had a very nice Ridley kill there. Got through just fine, picked up his plasma beam. And this remote's going to save a little bit of time coming out here as well. You'll notice that rather than going into the bot wound room, I like it when runners do this rather than trying to go back through bot's wound hallway and trying to ice clip back out. I don't know if this is actually faster if you're really good at ice clipping again, but I think it's definitely easier, and you don't have to worry about messing up the ice clip.
Okay, so you can correct my math if I'm wrong. If neither player uses any ammo, which they probably will, but in theory, if neither player uses any ammo on Mother Brain 2, I believe azder in his current setup would have a 90-shot fight.
That is correct.
And Zoast would have a 20-shot fight.
That is correct.
And then on top of that, Zoast could probably pick up another maybe 15 seconds or so. This is very general ballpark, from stand-up damage.
Yeah.
So, you know,
if he picks up more E-tanks, he doesn't have enough E-tanks for it yet.
That is a good point. You're right, and he probably won't. So we'll probably discount that. But anyway, so there is some time in Torian on that fight for Zoast to gain back from his earlier investment. This is also assuming that azder doesn't check the first location at wreck ship.
Yep.
Which I think would be a bit of a weird play, but
yeah, I don't see him doing that.
But you never know.
To his mind, the odds of it being charge beam is so low. But yeah, and to make another point about that stand up, so he has picked two more E-tanks up, so that's about 14 seconds of fanfare, which is around what the stand up saves.
Great point.
So I don't see him picking up those E-tanks.
Yeah, that's a great point. So yeah, I mean, again, sometimes it's difficult to pinpoint exactly how far ahead someone is, but I would say right now, azder is in a commanding position. I mean, I don't use that word lightly. Doesn't mean that he's going to win, but he is without question ahead.
He's done what he needed to do.
Exactly.
Zoast using the new, well, I guess it's not even really that new anymore. It's been around almost 2 years. The speedless speedway, where if you have phaser and wave or plasma and wave, you can spam some shots and walk through those speed blocks. Only going from right to left though.
Man, azder he doesn't have any supers left, so he couldn't open that door. And then on top of that, if Phantoon doesn't drop one, he won't have one to close the fight. But he's kind of low on missiles too. I mean, he'll get some from Phantoon here, but that's kind of an unfortunate ammo situation.
Yep. No, he'll get it. He'll figure it. Might make it a little bit slower, but yeah, it's going to be rough. It's going to be interesting to see if he refills the ship. I know it's not something he likes to do, but this ammo is awfully low. I
think it would be a good call. Sometimes, like if your ammo is really low, it's actually faster to refill. So I think he recognizes that and would probably do it.
Okay, it's a little better ammo now.
Yeah, this is going to end up being a 4-round, I think. Mainly just because Phantoon hasn't been overly friendly with the drops.
No, it really hasn't. Meanwhile, Zoast's going to make his way over to Meridia and over to Dragon. Yeah, he's having a little bit of trouble. Stop freezing that mock short. He has to wait a little bit longer for it. So losing a few seconds that way. Not as much as what happened to azder.
Zoast is going to save some time in Meridia. Not enough probably to catch him up, but that microwave beam is going to help.
Oh, absolutely. That microwave beam is nice. It is the fastest way to kill Dragon and Batsun. azder having done that nice grapple kill. So it won't be quite as bad as it could be if like we'd done a long involved ammo fight or something like that.
Right. So here we can see that, this is where we can kind of really get a sense for how far ahead azder is. More than likely, he's going to head out and he's done. He's going to head to G4. Zoast is still deep into Meridia, about to go kill Dragon. So even though that Dragon fight will be fast because of the microwave beam, he's gaining time in Meridia, but he, the amount of time he spent wreck ship versus azder is going to be significant. And what's funny? What this race makes me think, Tracy, this is a great situation for azder. And I'm about to say something that is definitely true, but it's not meant to be a slight against azder at all. I would feel the same way in my position. If I'm racing someone like Zoast, I'm hoping to God that we don't find Speed Booster.
Oh, yeah.
Because players like Zoast and Zenny, the guys who are just like really super exceptional at like 100% and 80%, or RBO, their ability to execute strats with high jump boots and speed booster versus other players is usually like much higher. And so taking that off the table and only having the quote unquote kind of like more low percent movement actually diminishes their ability to take advantage of that. So this is a great situation for azder versus this opponent.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you're comfortable, like azder's comfortable in any item situation, and so if he can make it so that it's a little less comfortable for the better player, then yeah, I think that I mean, I don't know if it necessarily benefits him, but it certainly doesn't hurt him. Oh, it was a reserve tank that I didn't even realize, and he missed. I love it because I usually joke about that item and just say, you know what, pick it up no matter what, because you're gonna pick it up later anyway.
This is gonna sound stupid, but I'm almost more impressed by that than anything else I've seen.
Oh yeah,
like it's so hard to remember to not pick that up when you skip it the first time.
Yeah, and of course he doesn't need it. He has at least one already. I mean, he might have run into 2, and 5 E-tanks is plenty for this fight for him.
Yeah,
Like a
and
90
Torian,
shot fight is but he does low percent ice. Low percent ice would be a 200 shot fight. So if you can do a 200 shot fight, you can do a 90 shot fight. And what's kind of funny is even with the lower amount, just the fact that it's a plasma beam and the feel is a little different than what an ice beam feels like, I think that helps too.
Plasma beam is actually the most awkward beam in terms of its hitbox. I call it the tube of toothpaste. Like
It kind of is.
I don't know why it makes me think of that. It's like Colgate or something, especially with ice beam on or something. But anyway, like it's very strange, and I know that technically Spazer can be kind of trolly with how wide it is, but people do that in normal speedruns all the time. I can't think of a single speedrun that anybody does where they're using like just plasma, you know? So it can be a little awkward. So you're right about that. One thing I want to quickly mention about Zoast as Azder's making his way through Torian here. Zoast, I think, doesn't get enough credit, as crazy as this sounds, for being really good with the spring ball. I've watched him do runs where he gets it early, and he's doing strats that I've never even seen or considered, like kind of on the fly. And he actually just did some on the way out from Meridia. So he knows what he's doing. He knows how to use the full array of what's available to him.
Azder not even go for the baby skip, probably because he doesn't have the speed booster, which helps you with it. Doesn't have the wave beam, which helps a lot. So it damages himself down, and he'll just have to take the refill. Also, one thing to point out: we do have an ice plasma combination, which the Zeb skip is a little bit weird on. I know Azder knows how to do it. You have a few choices. You could turn off plasma, which is the easiest but the slowest, so that's not what he's going to do. You can crouch, or you can do a charge shot, which, funnily enough, he has that charge beam that'll let him do that baby charge beam that we start them out with.
Right, yeah, he's going to have to, as you mentioned, that I'm sure that he's going to do the crouch charge shot method here.
And Zoast, meanwhile, enters Torian, so this is going to get interesting.
And also, before anybody in the chat, because I know this is going to be streamed later, but just as in general, it is technically possible to skip baby, to do the baby skip without high jump boots, etc. But it's actually super hard.
Well,
Nobody
they have high
practices
jump,
it.
but it's
Yeah,
he's missing the speed and the wave.
Well, what I'm getting at is
okay.
No matter what item set you have, there are ways to do it. So like
Yes.
even if you didn't have high jump boots or speed booster, there's
Yes,
technically
yes.
ways, but they're all like, technically speaking, you'd have to get them perfectly, and even if you got them perfect, you would save like 1 second, and like they're just not worth practicing. So you're very unlikely to see anybody do it without, speed booster and high jump boots.
Okay, I like that Azder fired those missiles to start with. He's saving 15 supers so that, a lot of runners will do that. It's something I like to do. I know it's not your preference. Saving those 15 supers so you can just wait for that catch-up beam to start out, so you just fire those 15 supers to finish the fight.
Yeah, I think either way is fine. I'm so accustomed to low percent ice long fights that I just prefer to do it all up front, so that I can kind of get those regular charge shots on the catch-up interval. But there's no right or wrong way here. But Azder also being the beneficiary of having those extra super packs over the course of this run. And I also really like, even further, him stopping at the ship, because those extra 15 supers that he used in this fight significantly cut down the amount of time between him and Zoast for the beam difference.
Yeah, and I think he ended up firing those supers early, because I think he was getting hit a little bit more. He may have been a little bit nervous. One of the reasons why some runners will not save the supers for the end is it's a little bit easy to telegraph or see that those catch-up beams are coming. Yes, they're more dangerous if they hit you, but I think they're a little bit easier to dodge in general than some of the onion rings and other attacks that Mother Brain has. So getting out of that earlier phase can also benefit him.
This is probably going to be the last catch-up, or maybe one more. But he's, very nice.
There it is.
He's done a very nice job here with this fight.
Yeah, and at this, I think he's going to take this one. Obviously, he has to get through Mother Brain 3 and the escape, so it's not over yet. But this is looking really good for Azder. And of course, this is the time when you're waiting and you're nervous and you're wondering, is my opponent here? Does he have the tanks for stand-up? I don't have the tanks for stand-up. Does he have charge beam? Does, all those little things that go through your mind because you're just waiting.
Yeah, I really gotta say, you know, I've heard a lot of people that do a lot of randos talk about, you know, a lot of races are lost, not won. You know, it's more like what you do wrong versus actually what you do right, which I understand where they're coming from, but I also kind of feel like, you know, it's the runner's job to do as much as they possibly can to put themselves in a position to win,
Yep.
if that makes sense. And so, really, both of these players didn't do anything. I didn't see any decision really or any execution wise other than just a few small nuances where they did anything that I disagreed with. It just happened to be where the items ended up this time favored azder's situation, which he played it, you know, to what he wanted it to be. So I think both runners actually did a great job. But you know, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose.
Yeah, this is a really, really nice race by both runners. Very well played, and it's close. I mean, you know, anytime you can sub 50 a randomizer, you're doing something right, so.
Yeah, Zoast ended up investing more time on the front end that netted him. The only real thing it netted him was charge and x-ray.
Yep.
Which that ended up saving him some time on the back end, but it wasn't enough to cover the other things that he checked.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, without a speed booster, we have to do this the long way.
Oh, this is the fun way.
Well, you're the low. Well, are you sure? He's got high jump boots. You're low percent ice. You don't have your high jump boots.
That's true. I just think it's fun to run around because, you know, most people on their first playthroughs. By the way, I'll have to apologize. My puppy here is making some noise. I need to take her out here in a sec. But a lot of times they don't even really know about shine sparking, you know, like other than like they might see the Decora do it, but they don't think to do it in other places.
Yep.
So I think most people in their casual playthroughs run around. So it reminds me of that.
We're going to see some left side wall jumps to get out of here. You know, Zoast finishing up Mother Brain 3. Always feels bad when you see that dot done during the escape, but with these two runners, I'm not surprised that we, you know, no matter which one wins, not surprised that that happens. All right, and here we go, Azure to the ship. And he will finish up with an official race time of 46:55. GG's to Azure. While Zoast will go ahead and he'll finish up his run.
Yeah, GG to Azure. Great run, and great run by Zoast too. This was really fascinating to watch. We'll talk about it a little bit more, you know, as we start the next match. But I'll let you cover for me for just a minute, Tracy. I'm going to take out the pup here.
Yeah, and in fact, we're going to take a little bit of a break. So we can get the next race set up, and Kip and I will be right back. So we'll go ahead and use those finish time when he gets in there, and then we'll go ahead and take that break. And he's finishing up with an official race time of 48:02. GG's to Zoast. Very well run by both runners. And we'll be back let the credits run. Let Kip finish taking his dog out. I'll take a quick drink, and we'll be back. And yes, I do mean water. Thanks. And we'll be right back with the next race. All right, welcome back. Again, this is Tracy M along with Kip commentating. This will now be game 2 of the Super Metroid Dash Randomizer quarterfinal match between Zoast and azder. We had a really good race in the first one. You want to talk a little bit about what happened in that first race, Kip?
Sure. Yeah, that was a really interesting one. The basic premise here, I feel like what happened kind of needs a little bit of context for what Dash is trying to do with the changes we've made for this particular type of randomizer. Because technically speaking, azder never found Charge Beam. But because we have the new starter Charge Beam, he was still able to finish, but with much longer fights in several areas. And so what you ended up seeing was Zoast spent a good chunk of time, almost full clearing wrecked ship that azder didn't do. But he got a lot of that time back on the back end because he had the full charge damage and the X-ray scope for Meridia. So, without trying to float my own boat here, we've actually seen several races already in this tournament that have offered opportunities that you would not have, you wouldn't really see in a typical Super Metroid Major Minor. So it's neat for me to watch how these players are adjusting to like what's technically possible here, and we'll see what happens here. So, but I think you and I talked a minute ago. If even one item was different in wrecked ship, it could have been a totally different ballgame. So that was a really, really competitive match.
Yeah, we were talking specifically about if there maybe been a speed booster in the wreck ship that might have been enough to give Zoast that edge to get past this one. Although I guess we'll never know because he wasn't there. But here we go, game 2. Let's see what our first item is. Bombs.
Yeah, so
good to see another bomb Chorizo.
That's right. And go ahead.
Isn't it the switch? Because was bombs in the ceiling last time? I'm trying to remember.
I think it was. Yeah, I think they had them at the beginning. But yeah, bombs is going to activate the bomb Chorizo, and we'll have a little bit of an extended fight. Sometimes that fight can be really quick though if you have the super missiles.
Just a missile this time. We'll see what they get in the other location. Bomb's one of those items that in Randomizer almost becomes like a luxury item. Prevents a lot of the soft locks that you could possibly have, but it's definitely not an item that is needed to beat the game in this context. Obviously, of course, it's needed in the regular game because you get gated by a spot where you need bombs and you won't have power bombs yet.
True, and we're actually just seeing something interesting because of the way this logic is set up to have it's not like overwhelming, but it's an increased chance for regular bombs to be your logical pathway to the next section. Sometimes we don't have a power bomb down here as often, and so Zoast last time ran the route where he started at Green Hills. This time he literally doesn't have that option. So yep. This could be a good thing or a bad thing for either runner, just depending on what choices are made afterwards. So no divergence yet.
Yeah, and to be fair, azder often runs that route as well, and so he does not have the option for it. It was a little risky when Zoast did it before because sometimes maybe you don't get a super in time, so then maybe you don't just miss that waterway check, not having that speed booster, but you also missed the wave gate. But he got a super at Green Hill, so that wasn't a problem in that particular seed.
The one neat thing about them being forced to do the same route at the beginning is you get like a much more clear indication of the movement advantage that you don't see, when you have diverging pathways. Yep. Now, Zoast already has a little bit of a leg up because he was using Moonwalk for the Moonfall that azder did not, so that saved about 4 seconds or so. But he's also picked up a few extra seconds here on the run down here. That's funny.
He's doing that on purpose. He wants to see that floating E-tank.
That's hilarious, dude.
I'd have to ask him. I wonder if it even maybe saves a little bit of time to pick it up during the explosion. As you're going to have a similarly quick fight Fastest way to do this is with 2 missiles and a super. A lot of runners will just use 2 supers because the difference isn't too significant. Actually, just use a couple supers. And we're gonna run on out. Let's see what our next item is. And of course, with bombs, we could do Gauntlet, but Bomb Gauntlet is very, very dangerous. A lot more difficult than Power Bomb, and it's extremely slow. So no surprise that neither runner is choosing to go check that Gauntlet item right now.
Yeah, usually a time commitment play that, to be frank, often does not pay off with anything super great. However, when it pays off huge because a couple days ago when I think Zenny faced Maniacal, Zenny went and checked early and found Speed Booster, and I think that was a seed that also had one of the suits at like Wreck Ship Reserve or something. But anyway, having an item like that at the beginning versus your opponent not having it at all is a pretty big advantage.
But yeah, neither runner opting to do that, and like I said, no surprise. I personally don't like to do it unless I have some power bombs myself. 10 power bombs. You need 10 power bombs. You don't have bombs, but 5 power bombs and bombs isn't too bad either. But in this case, yeah, not going to do it. Okay, so we have. Okay, we have a Various suit already.
Yeah, this is interesting. Okay, so obviously we're very early, anything can happen, but at the same time it's part of our job to provide analysis of what we're seeing. Technically speaking, if you're against someone who you believe is going to have the advantage over you in terms of movement or whatever, typically you don't want to see a suit that early. Like if I'm racing I don't know, like a new player, I would love to see a suit early, right?
Oh, absolutely.
If I'm racing Zoast, I don't want to see that. So they didn't find power bombs yet, so they can't check what's at Etacoons. But finding that Various suit, there's 2 options here. Azder could do his normal thing and maybe go down with it. That's typically the play. Or he might think, well, okay, since I know Zoast has found this as well, maybe I'll do some divergence and go to Wreck Ship instead. So I mean, there's still some options here, but having that suit early definitely provides a lot of opportunities.
We're still not finding power bombs. Those bombs will get us all the way to Kraid. I do wonder, neither runner checked the 230 missile location. There could be power bombs there. Now, in this version of the randomizer, oh, nice space jump. In this version of the randomizer, the game just simply guarantees that there will be power bombs available before you run out of minor items to check. Some of you that may be familiar with the randomizer league that uses the Varia randomizer, that one actually puts a power bomb in a logical spot that is meant to be your progression. So I do expect we're going to see some power bombs at some point, but I haven't seen them yet. This is really late for this version of this kind of randomizer to have no power bombs. Yeah,
let's put it this way. Sometimes the Varia randomizer will purposefully only put one and force you to find it.
Yes, exactly.
This randomizer does not do that. However, it does make sure that it at least places one in a place that you can get to. And then after that, it randomizes the rest of the places. So to your point, Tracy, it is unlikely to see it because we just dodged you have a higher likelihood of finding a power bomb, I think, in this than you would normal randomizer. So the fact that we haven't seen one is, mathematically unlikely.
It's very unusual. Now, we did skip a couple spots that we do have access to. With those bombs and supers, we can get to this force spawn minor item. Neither runner checked 230 missiles. So there could be power bombs sitting in either one of those places. But I don't blame them for, if we were on the very randomizer, you would absolutely check those locations. But in this one, don't blame them for not checking it. But in the meantime, the fact that we have all those Brinstar checks that we can't get to right now, and it could have things, could have an impact on the race, depending on who checks what when.
The good news is if you think about the vanilla speed run, you actually, if you're doing old route, for example, you actually go for a while without getting a power bomb pack. Yeah. So they're not locked out of anything right now, really.
Yeah, they got those bombs. That gets them all the way over here. So they're fine for now. But it will be interesting to see where we find those power bombs. Will they have to backtrack to one of those 2 locations that we already talked about?
Another small thing, it probably won't matter, but just in theory, let's say Kraid missile was actually a super missile. That's, one extra super that they won't be able to pick up.
Yep. Yeah, it could be a power bomb sitting there too. Another spot that could have a power bomb or two would be the back of Gauntlet, and that's we talked about not being worth checking that major item, but maybe if there's a power bomb there, that could have given someone a big edge.
That's true. With that said, oh baby, there's that speed booster. So with that said, though, the first power bomb pack, regardless of where it is, the other ones are not being gated purposefully. So it's very likely. I mean, like, it would be crazy if they didn't run into one for like the next 5 or 6 miners.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see. We'll see what happens though. Okay, interesting that speed booster's there. Normally people would go down here because they already have speed booster and they have the Varia suit. But I don't hate a wreck ship play here, because let's imagine that wreck ship reserve actually held like a really important logic item. You have the ability to get it now. So
one problem though, we need power bombs to get to the wreck ship.
That's true. That is a good point. So they probably had to go down first to try to find some, or they might could find some at Red Tower.
But this could be an opportunity if azder thinks that Zoast maybe stays in Norfair once they find those power bombs. This might be a chance for him to create some route divergence, which is really, as what he did in game 1. He managed to create that route divergence by going down when Zoast went up. His best chance of winning any of these races is to create that route divergence. So he might do something different, maybe something unconventional once we find power bombs. Okay, so it's going to check the ice beam first. When you have Varia suit, I like this choice because you're not. When you get out, and then you can go down to the high jump boots, and you're right there. Azure can do the same thing. So. And just an energy tank.
And for the second race in a row, there will not be a gravity-only Lower Norfair Hell Run, which I gotta admit, I do find those fascinating and neat, just because we haven't seen them, a ton.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've seen quite a few in non-restreamed races.
yeah, actually, several of them. I think 3 out of the 5 races I've done so far included it. But the cool part is that you're never forced to do that. That's never in the logic. You're not absolutely forced into it. It's just a way that you can technically gain some time. The only problem is technically speaking, you have to be very comfortable because you can get down there and lose a lot of time if you have to go slow.
Yeah, we still haven't found power bombs. We do find another E-tank. I know if I were one of the runners, not only am I worried about not having power bombs yet, I'm also thinking, what if one of those places that I skipped has power bombs and my opponent has them?
I'm a little fascinated by Zoast's decision. He has purposefully ignored at least 4 missile packs by this point.
Yeah.
Which, again, missiles are not like super valuable, but most of the time you want to get at least a certain number. So maybe he feels like he's got enough supers. He's not worried about it.
Yep. And Zoast about to go down the Frog Speedway, but if he's trying to go to Bell Mountain, that's not going to work without power bombs. He could choose to go to Croc from there, which might be an interesting play.
I haven't seen a seed yet in Dash that had power bombs this late.
No, neither have I. I like what Azure's doing. He's doing the check here to see if these are power bombs, and they're just supers, which is good knowledge for later, but unfortunately it's not what he's looking for. That's something that you do all the time in the Super Metroid Link to the Past combo randomizer, peeking that item to see what it is and see if you want to go over there. So it's something that he's going to do a little bit more than Zoast. Zoast plays that a little bit too, but I think it's been a couple years since he's actually done it. And here we're getting some divergence.
Oh boy.
Zoast's going to do Bell Mountain, and Azure going to do Croc.
Our first Croc of the day.
Yep.
There we go.
There's a power bomb pack. This doesn't mean, of course, that Azure won't find some as well. And of course, 2 items down here at Croc. When you have Space Jump and Speed Booster, not going to take too long. And this charge beam is going to do the job here, even without the real charge beam. We had a wave beam for Zoast. Nice
Even
item.
in theory, if Azder doesn't find any power bombs down here in the croc area, I still like this play because he knows he can escape and get that super pack.
Yep, and then he'll just go over to Bubble Mountain and he'll find these 2 power bombs. Worst case scenario for Azder is we find a gravity suit down here or something that's really going to help Zoast out. So that and nothing in the Crocomire area.
Charge.
But a charge beam is nice. So some Azder's going to be one with the charge. Although I suspect if see, we don't have high jump boots. Zoast was practicing high jump with lava dive and is very capable of doing it, so he might just go for that without even going to Croc. Azder does not do the high jump with lava dive. And in fact, in some cases, has benefited from him having opponents struggle with it. But Zoast is probably not the opponent that's going to work for.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the math here. Technically speaking, I believe the charge beam item benefits you more if you have to do a gravity hell run. Because it can really help you with the Ridley fight, etc. Right?
I agree.
So it doesn't help as much here versus, like, let's imagine Zoast never goes to Croc. It doesn't quite have as much value, but it's still very powerful. In particular, if this next item, the grapple item, is, even if it's not a logic item, let's say it's like ice, that could still be like a really big advantage for having charge and something else. So, so far it's looking good for Azder. Let's see if he can kind of, be fortunate to have another good item here.
Yep, and picks up some super missiles. I didn't see quite what was at speed, but I'm guessing it was an E-tank because our tracker, Cheaty Face, best tracker in the business, and we haven't shouted out yet, so I want to take the time to do that. Has not marked anything, so so it's getting that 3rd power bomb pack. And Space Jam will make this very easy. You could do it. There is a very tight short charge you could do as well.
Only an energy tank down here for Azder.
So we got waves, charge, and energy tank. So I suspect the runner's just going to switch places at this point. Although, again, we'll see if Zoast chooses to do that high jump with lava dive.
Oh, power bomb time.
There we go.
Yes, indeed. Here we go. Now, can I just preemptively say something? I'm going to be upset because I was mentioning this to some of my friends today. I did a high jump bootless lava dive last night in my race against Zenny, and it was the seed that I lost. Like, I did it, and then I got down there, and there was nothing in Lower Norfair. Like,
wow,
there was only energy tanks. So when you do this kind of trick, technically speaking, high jump boots is somewhere, and so if the other person, found them first, they're going to get some added utility, like for time as you move forward. But if there is something good in Lower Norfair that was supposed to progress you, then you just saved a ton of time. So I'm going to be really upset if Zoast finds something awesome, and then like every time, I think every time I pulled it off, there was nothing, and I ended up like losing time. So
yeah, and it is a slow. That not having high jump in Lower Norfair is tricky, and it looks like he's okay. He's just resetting the flames. What he's going to have to do is he's going to have to take damage and use iframes to wall jump off these Namihes. It's very, very tricky. Okay, Azder's going to get his stuff over here. And it looks like he's going to do a crystal flash because he doesn't have enough health left to do it.
Did Zoast save before this?
No.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's fine. He has that crystal flash, and I think he's smart enough to know exactly where he needs to be in terms of health to get out. But there we go. There it is.
Sure, I'm just saying you never want to be in that position. It's never comfortable.
No. Yeah, you can see him shaking his head a little bit, and it's a bit of a time loss compared to what it would have been. But he does get through, and with that space jump, Lower Norfair. Space jump, no high jump, no screw attack, no gravity suit. Not particularly safe.
Okay.
But he can handle it.
So, this is actually technically good for Azder because Azder does not do the high jump bootless lava dive unless he has added it to his repertoire
He has not.
Okay. So he is going to instead, start to go look for other items to try to find the high jump boots. So I guess what I was pointing out earlier is, let's imagine that gravity suits down here in Lower Norfair. Well, then that's pretty much GG to Zoast, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
However, if Lower Norfair ends up being a blank, even though azder will lose some time for the routing, it could be that when he comes back with more items, he gains some of that back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, this is actually kind of fascinating.
And to be honest, even if it was a trick that was within azder's repertoire, I don't think it's the right call for him. The way this seed gated them at the beginning, he's got to know that Zoast is here without high jump boots, and that Zoast can do that high jump with lava dive. And if he goes that same route, he loses. He just flat out loses. He cannot be taking the same route as Zoast and hope to win. So his best bet is to go and find one of those nice items to make his trip down there easier.
That's a good point. Zoast also just demonstrated two things that were really neat. First of all, Zoast has like the sickest short charges in the business. And he just did a really good job of setting one up in the previous room, but he didn't do the spark. Instead, he did like the cool blue suit keep jump. But one thing I need to point out, which we haven't talked about yet, is doing.
Let me interrupt you for a second. We got high jump boots at X-ray. Okay, now go ahead.
Okay, well, that's a big deal. So the backtrack for that, he's going to lose some time, but he might gain some of it back. In the meantime, Zoast is in Lower Norfair with only Varia, and that is a lot harder than people realize. You're taking twice as much damage. It can get very dangerous very quickly. Everything down here hits like a truck, and Ridley does a ton of damage. So obviously, we don't want to see anybody die or anything like that, but you have to be very, very careful when you're in Lower Norfair with Varia only, especially if you don't have some of those comfort items like Screw Attack.
Yeah. Also, I like the choice that azder's making to not just take those high jump boots and head down to Lower Norfair. He's got to be thinking that Zoast is already down there without the high jump boots again. So again, he would just be following that same path with one extra, very good movement item, but that by itself isn't enough, I don't think, to create the separation that he needs. So it looks like he's going to head to the wreck ship. And of course, we're still not going to see out. We've skipped so much stuff in Burnstar. We have, the Edekun's item. We have the Wavegate item we couldn't get to. We have Waterway. So it's 3 items over there in Burnstar. And really would be interesting to find out what exactly was there. But I like the choice of the wreck ship better just because you have to kill Phantoon anyway. So if there's nothing here, or if he decides to opt out early, he'll have some choices to make.
How crazy would it be if this were if Gravity was at Edekun's, or even Grapple, and this was a suitless seed, and again, the minor items do not take into consideration anything else like at the beginning in terms of placing those first power bombs. It would be crazy if this ended up like they just happened to line up that way.
Yeah. And Zoast farming up here, wants to get the full supers so he can get the maximum damage there. Again, we have a wave spacer. I call it the bad math beam. It's like 87 shots, I think, because it's 210 damage with charge beam. But so now multiply that by 3.
That's weird.
Yeah, and that would be 261 if my math is correct. So that's a lot of shots. So yeah, want to have as much ammo here as you can have. And of course, and Zoast very good at the X factors. He does start out with those, and we'll see if how many he can get. I've seen him get as many as 4 in a run, so in a race, I should say. Okay, he got 2+. We'll call it 2+ because that one particle just got away from him. He's gonna go for one more.
Dude, look at this tech, man.
Nice.
You never see this, and that starter charge beam really shining here. That's really cool that we got tech here.
Yeah, I don't know that we mentioned it. The starter charge beam does allow for special beam effect. He's going for another one. At this point, he's got enough supers to finish the fight, so I don't know that he needs to go for any more, but really cool that he kept going for those. I really enjoyed that. Meanwhile, azder having a very nice Phantoon, finishing up very quickly. Had better ammo than the last time.
Excellent fight given the circumstances for Zoast there.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful.
All right, let's find out if this is like ice or gravity, that could be really nice.
An E-tank. Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised though. Well, I guess we get you to stand up. It's basically right there, but he's been skipping a lot of those, so maybe a little surprised that he actually went and took that, or maybe he was expecting to be something better. As you're finding just an E-tank for himself at the right side supers location.
Yeah, azder similarly, it would be fantastic for him to find. I guess really at this point, if we're talking about what would be most beneficial versus Zoast in this scenario, I guess really gravity's the primary thing here.
Yeah, the best he can do, I think, not only gravity, or if it is a suitless seed, if he were to find enough of the items. And what are we missing at this point? We're missing Ice Beam, and we're missing Grapple. But of course, we have all those Brinstar checks, and he'll have to make a decision. If he gets gravity, then the decision is obvious. You just go. But if he gets one or both of those, or even none, like at that point, he has Lower Norfair open to him. Do you go there, or do you go and we get a Plasma Beam, which is nice, but not really what he's looking for.
No.
It's actually really nice, but it's not really what he's looking for.
True, but he does have charge too, so
this is a very good beam combination.
Theory, like if gravity were right here, for example, yeah, that might be an item that Zoast doesn't have. Of course, then if that were to happen, though, Zoast would also be like way ahead on the routing. So, oh, there it is. That's the gravity suit.
That's the gravity suit. So, that's really rough for azder. He is going to have to make that decision, and it may very well be that if he sees, pieces of suitless, he might try and find more of the pieces of suitless. Again, Ice Beam and Grapple Beam missing. At this point, he's gotten some stuff though. He's not going to find Gravity Suit. His best play is to go into Lower Norfair, but he doesn't know that, and he may just keep looking in these other locations, trying to gain some edge.
Yeah, I think he's making the right call going to bowling here, but I'm so irritated, man. Like if that had been that Gravity Suit would not have been there. It would have been another energy tank.
Yeah, it would have been.
But yeah.
Okay, as you're not going to pick the item ahead of time, but with Speed Booster, the argument is that if it's something you want to get, it's actually slower to peek it first, which makes sense because you're taking the time to peek it. On the other hand, he is going to have to. On the other hand, if it is something good, or if it's something bad that he doesn't want, then he's going to waste the time now, and it's a little bit longer to check it right now than it would have been to check it ahead of time.
Yeah, there's nothing here that he can get that's going to gain him as much time back as he's invested, similar to what Zoast did last time. However, if Ice Beam were down here, that would at least get, some of that time back because Zoast would be unlikely to find that.
And he's going to check this item first. Sees an X-ray scope. We'll see if he picks that up. Azure often will skip that, but with Plasma in charge, I suspect he will grab it. I think the time save on the two Meridia fights are worth the 7-second fanfare.
Yeah, that was another item I'd forgotten about. That could definitely... that'll gain him some time in Meridia for sure. Grappling Beam, a good item, but not great here.
Yeah, that's probably, I think, maybe the worst item he can find here. We'll see if he takes that to Lower Norfair or if he does some of the Brinstar checks. Gosh, I feel like if he were playing anyone else, he goes straight to Lower Norfair. But to his mind, he may be thinking, if one of those Brinstar locations has gravity, now maybe I'm in it, and we'll see if he does that. Like normally he's the favorite. Like Azur's used to being the favorite in these SM randomizers, or he'll be playing someone like you where it's like very, very evenly matched. He's not used to being the underdog as he is with Zoast. So yeah, it looks like he's going to keep looking for stuff, and I don't think that's a bad call in to where he's at right now. It's just unfortunate. It's just not going to work out.
Yeah, this is a lot like game number 1. I really like the way both players have played it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just that, again, that's how randomizers go sometimes. You just sometimes it goes your way and sometimes it doesn't. I really like what azder just did right there. I feel like that's some excellent, often overlooked tech. The more fun morph over and over again so that
Yep.
you don't fall past the power bomb. That's really good.
Yep, absolutely. Now, one thing I will point out, and Zoast, a veteran of this game, has done low percent speed even, which is a 300 shot Mother Brain fight. This Mother Brain fight is by no means going to be free. He's not going to get charge beam. And that wave spazer, we're what do we say, 261? Like, that's a lot of shots for MB1, or sorry, MB2. And it's going to be a very long fight. Now, that fight in and of itself is not going to be enough to catch azder up, but it is a dangerous fight. And we'll see. He might find ice beam. That's the only thing that he can find in terms of beams to make it shorter.
Yep, that's a great point. Kind of the opposite as last game situation.
Azure doesn't care about what's in the back of Gauntlet, and frankly, I kind of don't blame him. Like, imagine if you got to the back there and hey, look, 2 power bomb packs that you could have had from the beginning of the game.
What was that visual glitch on azder's screen?
I don't know. Where'd that come from?
It's weird.
Those are the kind of things you see after like a moonfall, and he definitely didn't do a moonfall because he does not use that moonwalk. And so it's going to farm up a little bit here.
I wonder what Zoast is looking for, because it looks like he's going to check this. Oh, no, he's not. Never mind. I thought he was maybe doing that because of the sandpit check right there.
Okay.
I guess he's not in the mood for that right now.
Yeah, I guess he was, just farming a little bit, I guess. With this beam combo, we probably want some more supers, although...
What is he doing?
I have no idea what it is. He's got a speed booster. It looks like he's getting ready for a crystal flash clip, but he doesn't need to. He's got speed booster. I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't like to second guess runners. I am very confused by this one.
Huh.
I'm impressed. Don't get me wrong. I don't know why he needed to.
he didn't. He's got speed booster. It was cool. and honestly, there are players out there, and this, that would just do that for the memes. And Zoast just doesn't strike me as one that would do that.
No, definitely not. Look at this ice beam on azder's screen here at the waterway. That's a nice item to find, but again, probably too little too late.
I don't like that item there, because if I'm azder, my thought process now is gravity's in Norfair, I'm done. Gravity's in Meridia, I have a shot. I think he might actually go to Meridia instead of lower Norfair. And I don't think it'd be a bad play.
I don't either. I actually really like the play a lot. Unfortunately, azder is the type of person who would know this. When it comes to just Super Metroid, not like Legend of Zelda, Randomizer or SMZ3, sometimes the right play can make you look like you have no idea what you're doing. Because it can be the thing that just puts you way far behind, but that it's the only way that you're going to be in a race with somebody.
Absolutely.
So I think he's aware of that for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and actually that's true in any of those randomizers, but yeah. So there's a lot less choices in this particular one, so it's a little easier to make those second guesses. And it's also, you got to remember, we all know where the items are, so it's easy for us to say, oh, just go to Lower Norfair, go get your gravity suit. He doesn't know it's there. To his mind, there are 3 places in Meridia and 3 locations in Lower Norfair. He's checked everything else, so it's 50-50 at this point, because Meridia's in logic. We have all the stuff for suitless.
Azder just did the same thing almost every Super Metroid runner does, which your muscle memory over hundreds and thousands of runs, you super missile that door at the bottom of the big screen, and then when you
we've
get
all
there
done
the
it.
second time, you super it again. Yeah,
We've all done it. Okay, Zoast finishing up Dragon very nicely.
I'm gonna predict a reserve tank at Dragon.
Is he even gonna look? Yeah, looks like he's gonna look. He's gotta be feeling pretty good about his position. So nicely done, Kip. Okay, so Azure does decide to go to Lower Norfair. Does not take the suitless bait. Which is, I mean, it's good and bad. I mean, it's good, of course, because he's going to get that gravity suit. I mean, it's not really bad. It's not really bad at all because he's going to get that gravity suit. But it would have been a really interesting play if it had been a suitless seed.
For sure. Yeah, honestly, a lot of times I don't necessarily think one of 2 or 3 different choices are necessarily wrong. There's so many factors,
Oh, absolutely.
Even Zoast going down to Lower Norfair with high jump bootless, lava dive, and just various suit. I mean, I've been in races where I thought for sure my opponent was going to kill me, and it turned out that they had died like 10 minutes in or something.
Yeah,
you just
that
never
happens.
know.
Yep. Yeah, and remember, Zoast didn't even check the croc items, so which of course is where that charge beam was. But we're gonna have a very long mother brain fight. As you're getting his lava dive. That's actually probably my favorite strat trick. I don't know what category you put that under in the game. Just something that I just think is really cool that the game has it set up so you can do those exact wall jumps to get in to Lower Norfair without a gravity suit.
I agree. Stuff like that's what makes Super Metroid one of the best games ever made. It's just, I don't know, man. There's just too many things that are so high quality, especially in the era.
Ooh, and as you're not gonna check the screw attack. I kind of like this. Actually, I like this a lot. It could, to his mind, it could still be suitless, and he's capable of doing full suitless if it came down to it. So if that gravity suit's there, then too bad. I'll just do suitless, and saves a lot of time if it's not there. And I do believe it was something like was that a reserve tank too, or maybe it was just a regular energy tank? I don't remember what was there.
Yeah, it was either a tank or a reserve. It wasn't one of the major items.
Yep.
Might get some X Factor strats here.
Oh yeah.
I bet those are from his old days, probably running old route, because that's not something you hardly ever do against Fantoon in almost any other category.
Well, you can't if you're running new route.
Exactly. The funny part is the fact that he didn't do full damage with a regular charge shot means that you can't 2-round Fantoon that way.
But it gets pretty quick 3 rounds, so.
Yeah, he was missing out on like 200 damage, unfortunately.
Yeah, as you're going to have a very quick Ridley fight, has the full beam combination.
Of course, now that I think about it, one of the particles must have missed, because if all 4 hit both times, that'd be 2,400 damage.
Yep.
So I guess one of them, I didn't see it. Maybe one of them got flame lamed.
Yeah, that happens. So it's looking maybe to get a few extra supers, checking that one missile pack. Unfortunately, for him, just a missile pack. I suspect he'll refill the ship with just 1 super.
I certainly would, especially given the fact that you don't have ice, so you're not going to get many drops.
Yep, and you have that. You only have that starter charge beam, As you're getting picked up a little bit early there. I think it was one shot early.
For a seed that had various suit at Brinstar Reserve, this ended up being pretty fascinating.
Yeah, the fact that those late power bombs, it just that was kind of in a way that's the story of the seed, just because it just gated them down. They had to go to Norfair to get those power bombs to kind of get things going, which meant that Zoast was in a better position of taking advantage of being down there than Azder was. Oh, Zoast's gonna get an item over here. I'm gonna go check the gauntlet item.
Unfortunately, he's gonna be disappointed. I guess the only major item it could be is Screw.
Azder, check this. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was just an E-tank. Oh,
that's right, yeah.
But he may be doing this not just for the major item. He might want the minor items because, like I said, this is going to be a long fight, and so any extra supers or even regular missiles that he could get is just going to make it a little bit shorter.
See, and that's another thing, you know, that is in the design philosophy behind Dash that I really like is even though, you know, on first glance, I think your average player that maybe doesn't run a lot of these might be like, well, if you have a starter charge beam, it makes everything free. Well, you certainly have the ability to kill things. Look at that double power bomb. You have the ability to kill things, but your minor item hunt can actually make a big difference if you never find full charge in terms of time. So, pretty fascinating.
Okay, double power.
That was
that is so not just because he wanted something else, but remember at the beginning we had bombs. We talked about not doing gauntlet because it's super slow with just bombs. If one of them had done gauntlet early and gotten those power bombs, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened because now you have power bombs. You can check all the locations.
Can I just say for the record that power bombing Metroids is like one of my least favorite things to do in this game. I hate it.
I believe that's when you chose low percent categories. It's probably why you chose ice and not speed.
Yeah, when I got my low percent speed PB is like a 58. I only did like 2 days worth of runs or something, and my goal.
Pretty good for that.
Yeah, like I think only 4 people have a sub hour. I was the 3rd person, but once I got the sub hour, I was like, I am never running this again because I hate power bombing these things.
Yeah, and in that category, it's even worse because you only get 5 of them, and unless you get like essentially win the lottery of drop luck, you're refilling at least once and probably 2, maybe even 3 times.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Zoast so far doing a nice job power bombing these Metroids. One nice thing it does, it guarantees you're going to have the ammo count that you're sitting there with right now.
Right. Another smart thing he's doing, I saw Sloters do this the other day too, and I actually did it, I think in my first race maybe, was Zenny last night, is he doesn't have the item set to do baby skip. So he's going ahead and he's not dodging the Metroids, he's taking as much damage as possible even while power bombing. That way he can just go ahead and get low here.
And you might have noticed he was even making sure he didn't pick up any of the energy drops, which is all they were dropping anyway. So
yeah,
that also just will he can damage himself down to 11, but you know that's perfect because then the baby's going to grab him. It's going to be real quick, and he's down to the 1, and can turn that spazer back on because a wave only would be 360 shots, not counting ammo, and he doesn't want that.
Yes, as you pointed out earlier, Spazer and Wave alone, I think, does 7.
210 if it's with charge beam, so 70. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so yeah, the normal beam damage is 70, and then obviously if you have charge beam times 3, so he will only be doing 70 per shot. But then he does have a lot of ammo that he can supplement, so it won't be quite as long. But 70 per shot is still a pretty long fight. That's close to 100 shots.
Yep. And he's going to have to do a speed zep skip because he's going to want to preserve ammo. And, you know, he's perfectly capable of doing it. It's a very tight short charge. And a lot of runners can't do this one. But definitely one that Zoast can do.
Oh, I take that back. It's way over 100 shots. I was just
It's like
thinking about it in
260.
terms. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
we figured out it was like I mathed it at 261 if I'm doing the arithmetic correctly, which I won't promise that I am.
No, I'm with you. I was thinking of I was doing the math wrong, trying to relate it back to low percent ice. So never mind me. He's got not quite, but he's got about a little over a third worth of damage in supers alone. So that'll cut down pretty significantly. Technically, did you know that you can X Factor Mother Brain?
I did not.
I've never seen anyone do it. I actually learned about it from Zoast. He was telling me about it one time. Apparently,
Actually, one of.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say.
I-
Apparently, he tested actually New Route a long time ago to see if it was worth skipping Spacer.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, one of our other runners, Asi, who's still in this tournament, nice microwave from Undragon by azder. He, in one of his races, he ended up with a charge Spacer beam. I don't know. Actually don't recall if he had actual charge or not, but he decided to do the Golden Shower, the special beam attack, name we use for the Spacer on Mother Brain, and it was really cool to watch.
That's another small added benefit of Dash. You almost never see like the Spacer SBA used, and technically there are some Ridley and Mother Brain 2 strats where that can be used. So kind of neat to see interesting tech you don't typically see.
And so far, Zoast doing a very nice job with his Mother Brain fight. Not taking a lot of damage, just taking his time, getting those shots in.
I think Wave and Spacer alone is very aesthetically pleasing with the gravity suit. It's like everything matches.
Yeah, the nice pink purplish colors. Yeah, you can see just how long this fight is. Not going to be long enough for azder to catch up unless something bad happens here to Zoast, but there's that catch-up.
So what, after catch-up, he's got like somewhere in the ballpark of like somewhere between 60 and 70 shots or something?
Yeah, still a lot of shots left.
And see, this is another one of those things, like when you're running, you never feel comfortable, right?
Never.
And so when you get to the point where you're fighting Mother Brain with your starter charge, you feel good because maybe you skip some items, but at the same time you're like, what if my opponent has charge? And you're just sitting there just bleeding time, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, interesting. He just turned off that Spacer.
Here he goes.
Go for those X Factors. Oh, I gotta see. This is... one hit.
I've never seen these before.
Honestly, after seeing Asi do it with the Spacer, I kind of like this better with the Spacer than with the wave beam.
Yo, Zoast!
Ooh, careful! Careful! Okay, he's going back to normal, but now he can't take any more ketchup shots.
Dude, that was incredible because every one of those shots did 70, but every particle did 300, so he actually probably made that a lot shorter.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was crazy though. That was a little scary too. Oh my god. I mean, you can see just how much time azder made up during that fight.
He's going to make up a lot of time, especially if he hits baby skip. In terms of just the strict Torian time, he's going to have a much faster Torian, but, you know, as we both know, you know, unfortunately, he had to sacrifice a lot of time on the front end to get all these items.
Yep. And, yeah, at this point, you know, Mother Brain 3, I wouldn't consider Mother Brain 3 completely free, but, you know, you just don't see mishaps there very often. And, of course, the escape. The runners have done that so many times. They're not gonna mess up there. So,
right,
we're past the point of danger really for Zoast.
And I hate to keep harping on it. Of course, I don't really hate it, but I'm just saying, like, this is technically, we're seeing on display part of the design philosophy of Dash, which is, you know, he doesn't know where charge is, but even in theory, if you did know for sure that Dash was at Croc, Croc seems like a slow check, but it probably would have ended up being faster to check Croc.
Oh, for sure.
Than what this fight ended up being. So it's like you constantly have to think about, yes, I don't have charge. Yes, I can complete the game, but how much time am I going to be really like using on this Mother Brain fight?
And to be honest, with these two runners, I mean, you want a game 3, right?
I mean, yeah, look, I never root, especially on commentary. I'm not like rooting for anyone.
No,
with that
of course
said,
not.
though, I mean, like, let's be honest, as fans of the game, it's way more exciting to see.
Let me put it a different way. This matchup deserves a game 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, Zoast's going to be in the escape as Azure starts his Mother Brain 1.
This Azure fight feeling like a breeze in comparison to what we just saw was Zoast.
Like, he's in absolutely no danger here. He'll even be able to do stand-up if he wants. Yep, looks like he's setting up for it.
Yep, and Zoast heading into the parlor. And while Azure is setting up his stand-up glitch. Parlor is one of those weird rooms if you have speed booster on but no high jump boot.
Absolutely.
They're all awkward, but that one in particular kind of stinks. But
looks like Zoast doesn't even notice when he goes up in that room.
But I'll let. What's the final time here?
Final time, Zoast entering the ship finishes up with an official race time of 51:09. GG's to Zoast.
Yeah,
we'll watch Azure finish up this stand-up and finish up, and then we'll take another break. But let's watch Azure finish off the Mother Brain fight. Very nice job so far. All right, now to the hyper beam. See how many shots he ends up taking here. Nice. It looked like maybe 4 or 5. If you really do this well, you can get it down to just like 1 shot, but that's really hard to do.
Yeah, it's tough to do that.
Yeah, I think Zenny's one of the better ones at doing that with all his, because the 2 categories he does most, the Hundo and the RBO, will both use stand-up, so he's very well versed in that.
Yeah, the stand-up stuff has actually kind of developed some new tech in the last several months, or at least this year. I've seen Zoast. I can't really explain it because I haven't messed with it much, but like there's ways to get the baby to detach from you in a different way than normal that can actually speed up the cutscene. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm sure somebody out there in chat will be able to. But it's stuff that I've only recently seen players start to do, so.
Always cool when we find new strats, new tech, new things for a game that's just as old and as well worn and as just beloved as this one is.
That's true. And we're finding a lot of new ones in Hundo because we have so many people running it. But GG to Asher.
Yep, he's finishing up with a race time of 53:40. Very very nice time for what this seed threw at him. So GG's to azder, GG's to Zoast. And again, we're going to take a little bit of a break. Let the runners take a little bit of a break as we set up for game 3. So stay tuned, and we'll be back as soon as we're ready. All right, welcome back, and this is really exciting. There haven't been a lot of Game 3s in this randomizer tournament for Super Metroid, but we got one here against two of the best, Zoast versus azder. I'm not sure what else we can say about these two that we haven't already talked about, but this is exciting.
Yeah, I'm ready to see what happens here. We had two really fascinating races in a row. First one going to azder, second one going to Zoast. And curious to see what we have in store for this one. I'm a little biased. I think we were chatting during the break. I would really, personally love to see a gravity-only lower Norfair, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, either that or Suitless Meridia. Although the dash really shines on the gravity-only lower Norfair, so yeah, I'll pick that first. We can see that the Suitless Meridia pretty much in any rando seed. And we're off.
So
Okay,
last time we did. Oh, I'm sorry, Tracy. You can go ahead.
I was about to say, I want to not see bombs first item.
Yeah, I feel you.
Non-morphal item.
Last time we did not get a power bomb in the first two minor items, and so it forced both to go up. Whereas game one, we did have a power bomb, and Zoast chose to go left, and azder chose to go up. So we'll see if there's any divergence here at the beginning, and how that plays out. And I'm curious to know what the first major item is going to be other than Morpheer.
Let's just not have bombs.
Let's go with something crazy like Spring Ball.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's like we talked about Spring Ball as an early item. It's a nice early item to get.
It is. Its utility early is very impressive. It's really good for some stuff with wreck ship and a lot of places to use it. Of course, as we talked about it, it starts to lose some of its utility later in the game, but it's always cool to get it early and use those strats in places that it wasn't really intended to be.
Okay. First minor item is a power bomb pack. We're good to go. Let's go. No power bomb hunt this time. I feel like that happens. Like right after one seed trolls you with, in whatever way it trolls you, the next one is gonna be like, haha, we're gonna make this easy. And we do get an E-tank, so that's also boring, but not bombs at least.
Zoast accidentally missing the first D-boost try there, so azder gaining back a second or two from what he lost from not using Moonfall.
Ooh, and the super power bomb combination. I know this is the item set that azder's most likely to go to the left here. Zoast we saw do that earlier too, so we might actually see both of them go that way. Let's see what happens. Zoast's gonna at least check the item. Azder as well. Gets a missile. We'll see if either one decides to keep. Yeah, azder's gonna keep going. Zoast gonna keep going too? Yes, he is. I like this. Also, fun fact with these side hoppers, a lot of people end up wasting a lot of missiles on them, but you can kill them with one super and one P shot. as you showed on the first one, but then switch to missiles for the second one.
That's true. The only downside, if you're someone who messes up, like I do a lot with the wave gate, is if you don't find another super pack, those are the only supers you're going to have for the wave gate part.
Yep.
And I'm pretty prone to missing some of those, so I usually try to be careful.
Nice space jump. Love that space jump.
Yeah, I find items like space jump, kind of like space and spring in many cases where it's like, clearly they're not really like, let's put it this way, they can be logic, but a lot of times even if they are, it's like there's other ways around them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's cool when people get them because then they are able to take advantage of them in several rooms that they normally wouldn't have. So it's kind of neat to watch how people adjust their strats.
Yeah, and well, X-ray. Azder thought about turning it down. I know it's not his favorite item to pick up, but at this early stage, he's hoping that it's useful. And it's more likely useful because you can use it with the plasma beam without the full charge beam for less damage, but it still works.
That Rio right there is, I don't know how to explain it. That Rio is very troll. It follows people up. Zoast going to check that pink minor. azder skipped it. Zoast rewarded. Any super that you pick up, especially early game, is very valuable.
Absolutely. Yeah, and a little bit of I think azder was picking up more ammo in the first game. A little bit less this game. I think it was. I'm trying to think. Game 2, he just ended with more items because he ended with more checks, so it's hard to say whether he was skipping more. And we get an energy tank. And Zoast, wisely realizing he doesn't have a power bomb, goes into this other Firefly room, where if you follow it all the way is a missile refill station. Knowing those Fireflies are going to pretty much nearly 100% drop power bombs.
Yeah, I wasn't paying much attention, but I think he made a good call there. Normally, you don't use 2 supers to kill those, but I think he realized that if he took damage from them, he'd drop below the threshold and get and they would drop health. So it was a good heads up play for him to do that there.
Yeah, that's a nice call, and in fact, the reason why you don't have enemies at 100% drop, non-energy, is specifically because of that health bomb.
Hey, look at Asher using that X-ray.
Using that X-ray scope. Says, I see a missile, I don't want it.
All right.
Head up. With this item set, I do expect Azure to go to the wreck ship, although one more missile pack might not have been bad for a Fantoon fight. He probably checks Gauntlet, and of course we have Bomb Chorizo on our way as well.
That's true, and this time it looks like we're probably not going to get a fight.
Yeah, Zoast already picking up more of that ammo. And we're going to run into another E-Tank.
Now, I admittedly have not seen every single race of this tournament. Number one, because I'm, at work sometimes, and then also just because I've been doing other matches and stuff. But have we had a race yet where both runners did this route at the same time?
Yeah, I do not know. I also have not. I've seen more than you have, but I have not seen any. So it's yeah. So it could have happened, but yeah, I haven't seen it.
It looks like Asher's ahead, and he is technically, but the time investment that Zoast has put out netted him an extra missile pack and 2 extra supers.
Yeah, I like
can
those.
Be very valuable.
Yeah, and the time difference right now, this is time that Zoast can make up in a lot of ways. So we'll see what happens. I like the being a little more when you don't know where your Varia suit is, in terms of the crystal flashes, and when you don't know a lot of the information and where stuff is. I like the pickup of more ammo, but you don't know where that charge beam is. And Azure just going to go straight to the wreck ship, is not going to check the gauntlet.
I don't blame them for not picking up the reserve. I actually like to pick up at least one reserve. You can get some pretty good utility out of it if you end up in a hell run situation. But at the same time, again, I understand why they wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, and hopefully, okay, here we go. Yeah,
looks like it was a power bomb at mode there.
Okay, we're a little worried about this stream there on Azure's side. He's back, so we're good. Well, still having a few issues. Okay, we may just have to live with this a little bit. Hopefully we can keep, hopefully we'll survive. Okay, yeah. Power bomb's not really going to be an issue though this time, at least not in terms of normal usage. And Azure going in with 1 missile, and 10 total. So it's kind of a low percent ice. Yeah, this is rough. This is very, very similar to a low percent ice, although of course more E-tanks, except for you'd have more actual missiles, so you wouldn't have to farm as many. But I don't think a lot of people that don't play, or maybe play more casually, realize the difference between 10 and 15 or 15 and 20. It is a different fight. It is a harder fight, when you have to do that extra farming. Like, I don't feel like it becomes free in terms of missiles until you get to at least 20, maybe 25.
Well, there's good and bad news. The bad news was Fantoon gave a mid first round, which didn't allow for as much collection. So he didn't get that many missiles in, which is more likely to result in a potential 3 or 4 round. But the good news is that Fantoon did drop a super.
Yep.
Actually 3 at this point. So.
Oh yeah, nice.
Oh, that's not good. Azder was trying to avoid a 4-round Fantoon, and then didn't get enough in the first couple rounds for the Dopplers, and ended up supering early, and now he's stuck in a enrage pattern for, I think, 18 seconds.
Yeah, he's gonna lose time to this, which is unfortunate, but at least he handled it really well. A lot of runners would not handle that well, and that would be the end of their run. Or maybe not the end of their run, but they'd be restarting, and that never feels good. And against a runner like Zoast, you just can't afford that.
True, but the flip side is in Dash you have starter charge, so you can just pseudo through everything.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he didn't just do that. He handled it well otherwise, but maybe he was just hoping for extra drops. That may have been the reason why he did it that way. Because if you just pseudo screw, you're not gonna take damage, but you're also not gonna get anything. And he did get some drops during the enrage phase. And there's that charge beam. That's where it was game 1.
Zoast,
so both runners both runners gonna have charge beam this time. So that's interesting.
The unfortunate thing about that sort of Fantoon fight was, and he doesn't know that, Azder doesn't know this, but technically speaking, like, you never want that to happen, but it's more punishing if you're doing the same thing your opponent's doing. Yes. Like, it'd be one thing if they were doing two completely different things that had, like, some kind of huge swing, But right now, given the fact that they're on the same path at the current moment, it's more punishing.
Yeah, and in fact, we've talked about this in both of the other games. If Azder just follows Zoast around, he doesn't have a chance of winning. He has to create some sort of divergence.
Spring ball.
Okay.
Oh, and look at that.
He's just going to leave. Okay, I like this play from Azder. It may bite him. We'll find out, because I think Zoast is going to full clear it. But this is Azder saying, you know what? If there's something in the wreck ship, then I'm not going to win. I'm gonna, if Zoast went up and there's something in the wreck ship, then it's just his game, and I made my best play. If there's nothing there, then I gain a huge chunk of time. The fact is, we can't even get both items anyway unless we see a speed booster. So
that's true, and both of those items are pretty slow in the grand scheme. So I like this play a lot. Oh, look at Zoast leaving too. One thing I'm curious about is I wonder if Azder had a clean Fantoon. If he would have maybe at least checked like the second item. I wonder if he was like, okay, I need to just go ahead and play it aggressive here.
Yeah, so we'll never find out what's at the attic, but yeah, Azder still gained that time by not even checking the wreck ship E-tank, and he's not going to miss that spring ball. We talked about this before. Spring ball has some really nice tech to it, but that most of the things that spring ball does for us that are going to help us more than just fun strats. Negated by that space jump that'll allow us to, get anywhere we need to go.
The only way that it could potentially bite him in any kind of significant way is if this ends up being a suitless seed where it's like it expects you to have spring ball.
That can happen.
It can happen from time to time. Not very likely though.
The only item that's gated by spring ball is just the mama turtle item. So yeah, that could happen, but
very unlikely.
I think the odds are low enough. I mean, not that he knows that's what he gave up, but I think the odds are low enough that he's probably okay. Just an E-tank, and he's not going to take the time to pick it up, and I don't blame him. Now, X-ray still very dangerous with the space jump. When you have screw attack, it's super safe and super free, but as you're handling it well, but it's it gets dangerous because like these spikes, they do that 60 damage, and at the end of the other end of the X-ray room, if you drop your space jump, that's gonna be big trouble. Goes playing a little bit safer by he's got full health. He did a little extra farming. Now he's gonna take some deboost to do this a little bit faster.
Plasma.
Nice. So we get at least charged plasma. Zoast's going to get that item too. So far we're not going to have any advantages in terms of beam combination. Okay, now of course we're going to head over to Kraid, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's funny you said it that way. I was literally just thinking there's only one scenario that I can think of in rando that I've ever done where you would consider not going over there,
Mm-hmm.
and it was boss rando.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I actually did that in some of my boss rando matches in the I think I only had one in the playoff, but I opted to go clear some upper Norfair stuff before I even checked.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise in these, like, you'd be crazy not to go to Crade.
Yeah, I mean, it's not any kind of time save if you wait till later. You're not going to get a better item set. I mean, the only time save, I guess, is if you have Speed Booster. That's such a small one. You know, we often talk about 80% old versus new, and it's, you know, that saves a little bit of time. Not old versus new. Crade before Ridley or Ridley before Crade, and one of the difference being the Speed Booster, but the bigger difference being the farming issues. And Azure with a very nice quick kill.
He also has the perfect 7 supers there, unless you want energy, but typically like 99% of the time, any Crade's going to drop 4, so he can fire 1 super, kill it, and then get back to full.
And Azure 3 for 3 on those quick kills. Zoast missed the first one, but I can't imagine you would miss more than one in a race. Zoast checking, seeing if there was any good ammo there. Just a missile, so he just chooses not to take it.
Nice little high five there. But yeah, if I had to bet, I would bet on Zoast getting the quick kill.
And another E-tank. So this seed is possibly saying hell runs, because we have more than enough energy for them. 4 tanks, we'll put that in logic, and we have now 6. Actually, I think we have 7, because I think it's... I'm trying to remember if anybody skipped an E-tank. Oh, maybe it was a reserve that was skipped, because Azure has 1 and Zoast does not. And those count towards that logic.
I'm really already fascinated imagining the possibilities of, like, what if gravity suit location was, you know, speed booster or something.
Yeah, we were talking about wanting to get that gravity lower Norfair. I'm really sad that they're not picking up more ammo, in particular Azure not picking up more ammo. Because that just, you know, having enough ammo to do that is a big part of that.
Certainly makes it easier. But then again, I mean, you know, I'm probably a little bit more on the conservative side when it comes to, like, sometimes I invest more time for safety than other players, so I can't blame anybody for not wanting to pick up more minor items.
Okay, unfortunately, we're missing what was an ice beam. We'll see it on Zoast's screen, though.
Based on his health, I gotta assume it was an energy tank, right?
No, he's got the same number of tanks that Zoast had, so it's something.
Yeah, but Asher skipped the X-ray tank.
True. Oh, that's right. Okay. So
and I'm basing it on, like, not the total number of tanks, like the actual energy that he has based on the hell run to get out.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense then.
I could be wrong. We'll see.
No, I think you're right. I think it's an E-tank.
Lotto energy.
Another E-tank. Okay. Well then. This starts to become interesting, because if we end up with a whole lot of E-tanks down there. Now, both these runners good enough to do lower Norfair without barrier or gravity. We don't have near the ammo to even consider that, though.
No, and again, it can be done, but it's very, very, very rare that it would ever be worth it for time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I would not recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, but the interesting part, what do they leave in the wreck ship?
Yeah.
And does one of them take a gamble and run back there?
Yeah, probably we won't see that for a while.
No, we still have 3 items in Bubble Mountain, 2 items in Croc. I can't imagine either one of them bails on this until we've at least seen the rest of these items.
Zoast is feeling good there right now in terms of his minor distribution. Already at this point, what are we, like 15 minutes in or something? Okay, 20 minutes roughly. Having 25 supers in this particular randomizer is pretty good. So that's what you like to see.
Okay, Azure feels like he has enough energy to get through this, and he should. Maybe takes the safety save after this item. And gets an energy tank anyway. We're still getting energy tanks. All the energy tanks in the world. One of the nice things about Space Jump that sometimes gets overlooked is that this hell run that Zoast is doing that azder already did becomes so much safer with that Space Jump.
Yeah.
This last room that he's going through, that room, it's the one that, you know, if I die in the hell run, it's because of that room. It's not, I mean, obviously it's the last room, so it's the one you're dying in, but it's definitely because of that room. And Space Jump just makes that room, you know, pretty trivial.
You can say that about other portions of Lower Norfair too. We should just rename it to Safe Jump.
There you go. I know enough people already call it after me, so.
Yeah, its theme song can be the safety dance.
There you go. And bombs. Okay. Sure. Let's have some bombs. It's really not that useful. It's going to take the power bomb, which I like. That gets him into that crystal flash level. Also, the if we don't find ice, I have enough power bombs for Metroid's level.
Yeah, bombs is here probably going to end up being more of a farming tool than anything else.
Really.
You know, it's ironic, similar to Spring Ball in a randomizer situation, especially if you already have like multiple packs of supers. The utility of bombs is very, very good early, but loses, you know, some as you get deeper.
Yeah, I mean, bomb jumping is something that you can do and sometimes is logically required. Oftentimes you have other choices as well, but it's slow. It's definitely not the preferred choice of travel.
Plus, doing a bomb jump in like very rare situations where you're doing an infinite bomb jump while also taking heat damage, like that feels terrible.
Absolutely.
So I didn't see how long has Asher's thing been messed up. Has he made it down to wave yet, or is it still stuck?
I bet he's down to wave by now.
Oh, so his thing's like a whole minute behind.
Like this is one of the most annoying rooms for hell runs. Very, very dangerous room. Of course, Zoast has lots of health right now, so. And another place where that space jump's gonna help us out, and a super pack. So
he's got the magic 30 soups. If he found gravity right here with 30 soups, that's like instantaneous. Oh my god!
Yeah, I think. There you go, Kip.
Instantaneous Lower Norfair time, baby.
Yeah, look where Asher's going. Let's go. Let's go.
Now, I feel compelled to talk about this because, like, let me put it to you this way. I'm not necessarily trying to correct people or anything, but it's just like, especially if people are not quite as experienced with speedrunning a lot of different categories in Super Metroid, I kind of want to give a little bit of context to, you know, this whole gravity only taking half damage from heat, allowing these Lower Norfair hell runs to happen, even with this number of energy, or this number of energy tanks. These guys do not have some of the best items that would make this faster or protect them. Like, it's going to be much more difficult to do worst room in the game, even though they have space jump, because they can't do any kind of like new route version of it with high jump boots and speed booster. They're going to have to unload supers to kill the metal pirates. They don't have screw attack to get them out of tricky situations with key hunters, especially given the fact that you only have beginning of the game physics since you don't have the movement items. So I could go on and on. Like, yes, this is probably optimal routing wise, but it's not going to be free, and they're going to have to take some time. They're going to lose some time to do some farming and stuff like that. And on top of that, they don't have grapple. So they're missing some of the items that I typically feel much better about having to do this.
Yeah, this is by no means free. Absolutely by no means free. These two, I mean, they should be able to handle it. That charge plasma is going to help out. In fact, the Ridley fight, my guess is you probably want to try and use that charge plasma as much as you can, so you can save those supers, so you get that crystal flash after Ridley if you need it. But yeah, I mean, you're watching two of the best at this sort of thing. So I almost feel like it's like a don't try this at home.
I agree. It's really exciting, though. This right here is exactly one of the types of situations that Dash was created for, and it's exciting to watch.
Okay, and did Azure check this? Oh.
I think Asher skipped.
Yeah, I like that call on Azure's part.
And it turned out to be...
Yeah, it's a good call.
Spazer.
Now, here's the interesting part. For any of you that might be thinking that these runners are in go mode when they get out of here, we still need a way to get to Botswoon.
That's right.
We don't have a speed boost, we don't have an ice beam. So it will be interesting to see what happens. With bombs, Azure knows how to crystal flash clip. It's not one of his favorite strats. We know Zoast can do it because he did it despite having that speed booster in the last race. So this time it's going to be more relevant if we don't find ice or speed down here in Lower North here.
Oh, microwave on the Pirates. I love it.
Nice.
Oh, you know what? I just realized I made a mistake earlier. They have an ability to microwave the metal. Literally, as I'm saying it, as your stream comes back
Yeah,
up.
nice.
So that is something that will make this a little bit easier. But again, like some of the movement stuff in here is not going to be like super comfy.
No, not
I
at all.
believe Astor found an energy tank at Firefly because he still looks to me...
He's got 3 out top now instead of 2. He's got 1 more than Zoast has.
Plus, he doesn't have anything in his reserve. So the only other way he'd be this deep would be if he'd have done it. So let's see how this fight goes.
And not even farming up. So he's just going to go straight to it.
I like the aggressive call. I mean, I think he knows that he's got to have a real good, aggressive match to win.
Yep.
He's playing to that. Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, this is getting a little scary.
Yeah, this is getting a little tense here. All right, for Asher's sake, we should be hoping for an energy tank at Ridley location. However, he should be fine regardless, assuming Ridley doesn't just absolutely troll the drops, which ironically we won't get to see. It looks like he was a little bit of a troll with the drops. Okay, he does have any. Look at him. He's he's very relieved, and he's laughing.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I had the same reaction last night when I did one of my races, and so that'll be good for Zoast too. But Astor playing it very aggressive and was rewarded. And so now he can basically exit out of here without farming much. So this ended up being a pretty ideal circumstance for him in terms of his play style for this particular match. Looks like he is going to farm a little bit. I guess he's wanting to get enough. He wants to get 1 more super for a potential crystal flash, although I doubt he will need it. The only problem, though, is he is going to take a good bit of damage on the way out of here because he doesn't have screw attack, he doesn't have high jump boots, he doesn't have speed booster. It's very unlikely for him to get out without getting hit a few times by some of these key hunters and the Skigas. Zoast's fight, on the other hand, is going to be much faster if he elects to unload the 30 supers, and that is what I would choose to do if I were him.
Absolutely.
Or at least I would unload like a majority of them.
Yeah, 30 Super Ridley is the fastest Ridley fight you can do. The DPS is so great. You don't see it very often in vanilla speedruns because you're always mindful of what are you doing next, and you don't want to have those supers for the next part of the run. Or in case of, say, any percent new route, you only have 10, so.
Ridley should be dead here. Very nice.
So yeah, Zoast's going to gain a little bit of time here. But now comes the interesting part. I feel like azder has to commit to this crystal flash clip. He does have bombs, and that makes it easier. If he, I assume he's gonna either assume that Zoast can do it, or just figure that if Zoast can do it, then I need to do it, and if Zoast can't, I gain an edge.
So he's got plenty of energy, but I do want to point out azder's in a very scary room here. He does have plasma, which will make things a lot easier, but he's very likely to take at least a little bit of damage in here. Without high jump boots, this room can get super awkward.
And the other item that can screw you up by not having it is wave beam. I don't know if you've seen it, that you'll see runners very low on health, and they're so used to having wave beam to just clear those blocks out all at once, and when that doesn't happen, it can lead to disaster.
I feel you, Tracy. Luckily for me, that usually doesn't happen because
you play low percent ice.
Yeah, like that particular category, that's something you have to do constantly. And
yeah,
so,
exactly.
Luckily for me, it's something I've thought about. I wish I could explain what Zoast just did. It'd be really hard for me to explain all of it. I think it ended up being a strat that generated from his most recent world record grind in low percent ice, but that's a faster way of doing the reverse wasteland than what we used to have. He used a regular bomb to push himself up to do a power bomb in a place that he could do the new route clip. I'm using a bunch of terms here. Anyway, it was very cool what he did, and it's not something that I don't think hardly anybody did until this year.
Okay, and we saw that azder picked up a power bomb pack in Bubble Mountain, and I think that's exactly what he's looking for. It gives him extra crystal flash attempts on that clip. Like I said, it's a trick that he can do. It's a trick he does not like to do, and not one of his favorite, not really good at. We already saw Zoast do it, and I can't wait to ask him about why he did it that time when he had that speed booster. And Zoast also looking for extra ammo as well. He may also be looking for extra power bombs. Also handling those Three Musketeers very well. Had to go a little bit over to the side there, maybe loses a little bit of time there. And I keep harping on these little time losses, but with these two runners, those matter.
They do. I think, by the way, Zoast is gearing up. I think he's going to get the just barely. It's harder to do without speed booster and high jump boots, but he almost got the little
the ball boost.
Yeah, the ball boost there.
Yeah, I love that strat.
I actually, now that I mention it, I don't know if it's possible or how fast you have to do it to get it without high jump boots and speed booster. So it could be that I'm sitting here expecting it and it's something that you can't even get.
Yeah, I've never looked into it that far. So yeah, it's a good question. I don't know.
Looks like azder is heading straight to Meridia. I guess the first thing he's going to do is check Mama Turtle.
I wonder if he will. Let's see if he checks Mama Turtle hoping for an ice or speed, or if he just commits to the crystal flash clip.
I'd probably check it, but then again, everybody's different. Even if it didn't have one of the items, it's still possible for you to get wave beam or something like that, which could be helpful.
I think from his point of view, again, we talked about this before. I think against anybody else, I think it's in his best interest to check it. And I think he does.
He did check it, and he got wave. Looks like.
Okay, there you go. Against those, I could definitely see the argument for not checking. He is going to go for he's already done.
This is crazy, dude.
50 is perfect, by the way, because then that's exactly what you need for the clip.
And he's going to save.
Zoast also going to as you're famous for not saving at all. Here, I think it makes sense for him to save because, if you run out of power bombs, you're not farming them back, or at least it's going to be very slow. Because even those crabs like to drop those power bombs, and there's not that many of them.
Oh, azder's going to check Sand
he's going to save scum the sand pit.
This is a crazy race, dude.
It really is.
Cow.
Unfortunately, even if this is ice or speed, if Zoast gets that clip as quickly as he did the last time, it's not going to help azder.
Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me.
Oh, it's speed! Oh my god! Actually, I take it back because he's gonna be able to do other things faster too. Let's see if Zoast goes and looks for this. So now,
This is so crazy, dude.
that is okay. And I like this call here. He says, "You know what? Now I don't need to crystal flash to flip. I'm just gonna do it for my health."
This might be the game regardless, because even if Zoast wants to do it and pulls it off,
Yeah,
there's just
that
so
speed is gonna.
much that
Yeah, there's a lot of time.
that speed will help.
Oh
Of
my
course, the
god.
flip side is Azder does have to track here back.
Yep. Yes, he does. That's a loss.
All right,
But
here
he
we
goes
go.
ahead, so Zoast is going for it. Oh my
Holy
god.
cow, dude. This is so nuts.
This is so crazy.
For the record, just so in case anyone needs to know, what Zoast is going for here is never in logic. Like, it's not required. It's not something you have to do. So it's what's so crazy though about this is that he's about to do it, and even if he's successful, it's still going to be so hard to know what's going to happen with Azder having speed booster.
Yep. And how long is it gonna take for him to get it? He got it really quick the last time.
He got it first try last time.
Yeah, he did, which is like really impressive. But every time he fails this, that's time that Azder gains.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, there's the clip. But I don't think he got it fast enough. I think Azder's just gonna pass him. This is so interesting. Oh my god. I don't even know how to call this. It's like that speed booster is such an advantage, but
Yeah,
Zoast is so good,
the speed booster is a huge advantage. All right, there's a few things to talk about here. Number one advantage that Azder will not get that he normally would is the Dragon fight. Like the fact that they can both do the X-ray or whatever, the microwave, so he can't like rely on getting a fast speed booster kill versus like an ammo kill or something like that. But the flip side is he can still, whoa, that's a lot of supers. He can still right here full halfy, he can still reverse halfy, and he's gonna save an immense amount of time on the way to Torrent
and on
the escape. Yeah.
And actually, here's another interesting point. Zoast was 1530. He has no Zeb skip. He's gonna have to ammo kill the Zebs. And I'm looking at those numbers. So he should have enough. Yeah, as long as his super count, he's gonna have to refill up the ship. That super count, pretty much no matter what, because he's gonna have to use power bombs for the Metroids. Both are gonna have to use that. But yeah, he's gonna have to use those supers on the Zebs, and that's gonna make the Mother Brain one fight a little bit tighter. It should be fine because 1510 is what he would do on an 80% PB attempt. But
man, this is crazy. I mean, like, Zoast has played exceptionally well, but right now Azder is in a very commanding lead. I mean, it looks obviously like they're right next to each other, but the amount of time that Azder is going to have from here all the way to the end is very significant. Unless this is ice. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if that had been ice, that would have been
good skip on Azder's part. I think that was a good call. Just leave. Just you have what you need. Just get out of here. And actually, they're both gonna have to stop at the ship because we are talking about power bomb Metroids. And as we said before, it's not just about having enough power bombs because 13's enough. It's also about you're not farming ammo.
Zoast doesn't know it. Like, I'm trying to just figure out what if there is a scenario that exists where he could technically like get back in this. The only one I can imagine off the top of my head is if he were to not go to the ship, go up to Gauntlet, and use screw and space to get through it, and then ice was up there. Mm-hmm. That would be like the only way that I could see him getting something that could pull him back.
Yep, absolutely.
But right now, it's just like, it's just too much. Like, the speed booster is way too hard to overcome.
Yeah, this race, I mean, we got it. I swear, we pretty much, I think, got everything we asked for from this matchup. Two excellent runners, and I don't know if we talked about this enough. I mean, we're talking about Azder's been running this game for, I believe at least, like in the 10-year range, Zoast. So I think he's actually running it longer than Zoast. It's just that Zoast has put more dedicated time into it. Azder, plays a lot of other games, not just Link to the Past, but, he has a history in things like Ocarina of Time and even like Metroid Prime games. So we're talking about, these guys have just been around a long time and, super experienced and, just you can't say enough about them. And hopefully somebody, because as we are, not as we're recording live for rebroadcast, do make sure if you're not already following these guys, you should be. They're just such great watches.
Oh yeah, for sure. This race has been incredible. I mean, like, not only just this game, but like this whole match. Yeah, and again, like this race right here, this particular race, again, I've mentioned before, some people like the changes to dash, some people don't prefer it. I understand, people have their preferences, but this is exactly what I envisioned when I started coming up with some of these changes, like situations like this, and this has been really fun to watch. So I'm really happy that we got at least one Gravity Lower North Air in this match.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, and every moment the speed booster, Azder just keeps gaining more and more time.
I wonder where Varia was. Like, since Speed ended up being in Sandpit, I wonder if Varia was like, in the intended logic, if it was like a waterway or something like that.
Oh shoot, it could have been a croc.
That's true. That's right. It might not have even mattered where Speed Booster was. That's true.
Yeah. And of course, Azder, you'll watch the way he does the Metroid rooms. He knows exactly where to place them to do this very optimally.
I need to go practice this because I've never practiced that before.
Yeah, I haven't either. I just get them to the end and power bomb them,
exactly,
like most people do. But Azder does this in a very specific way to draw those. More so in rooms 1 and 3. He does this in a very specific way to draw the Metroids over, and it's really nice. He got a power bomb drop there.
Of course, always get one when you don't need it, and you never get one when you do.
Of course. Yeah, I see the way that first powerbomb leg goes ahead and draws them again, and here they are closer. Those not far behind, but that speed booster,
Yeah, and there's just, as we mentioned before, there's literally, the fact that Azder has speed booster and Zoast doesn't could be overcome if there was something else Zoast had that he didn't.
Yep.
And we just don't have that here.
So the big factor here that's going to come up pretty soon, Azder's going to do his speed zep skip. Zoast is going to have to use ammo. Azder's very good at the speed zep skip, but this is, I mean, I know if it were me, I'd be super nervous.
Oh yeah, I hate speed zep skip.
It's a tough trick. So we're gonna have to see. Of course, no baby skips because again, no high jump for either runner.
Ironically, I was talking earlier about how sick Zoast's short charge skills are, and they really are like the best.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
He's insanely good at it. It's ironic that he literally cannot do it here.
Okay, obviously we have to take the refill. Okay, missile the first door. Or super, I should say. Okay, and we gotta get this. We gotta get this.
That was a good first room. There it is. That's very nicely done. Under pressure in particular.
That is huge. Like you said, under pressure, he had to get that. That was Zoast's biggest way back in this, is if Azder would struggle with that speed zep skip, and now I just don't see it. I think this is Azder's to win. I guess the what you say is azder's to lose, but whatever. And of course we have charge wave plasma. This will be a 24-shot fight. So at least from Zoast's standpoint, he doesn't have to do that humongo.
Zoast needs to be careful. Sorry to interrupt you, but he actually he has to hit all of these 12 supers.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, thank goodness.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, even though this race is pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point, the last thing you want to see is any kind of soft lock to end it in a way other than, just, the person winning and the other person finishing. And we are going to get some stand-up glitches here. Okay, and as you're doing a good job with the stand-up glitch, Zoast just starting his. Okay, and Azure gets to stand up. That's kind of the last scary moment because of all the soft lock potentials. But gets through it.
Zoast just demonstrated that baby detached thing I was talking about earlier. I still don't exactly know what's going on with it, but anyway, that was cool. And yeah, look how crazy close this is, but azder is going to pull away even more, probably, I don't know, I gotta say at least 15 seconds. I would imagine 15, 20, something like that. The difference between speed booster versus not.
Yep, absolutely. And you just see Azure just looking kind of calm, just hoping not to see that done. Zoast looks a little stressed. One of the cool things with those webcams that we have here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Azure should feel good in terms of
I want to see his reaction when he finishes.
he doesn't know for sure, but let's put it this way. There's a decent chance, in his situation that you have speed booster and your opponent doesn't.
Yep.
But then again, I mean, who knows where ice was, so.
Yeah, exactly. Like he didn't check that Dragon location.
And there it is.
Oh, look at him. He is so happy.
And for good reason. I mean, obviously, Zoast did a great job. And look at Zoast. Zoast did a great job. And, as bad as Zoast feels, honestly, anyone should celebrate when they beat him because he's just an incredible competitor. So he did a great job, but azder was able to eke it out here. And that was a fantastic finish. My goodness, that was an incredible match right there. GG's to both runners. Both played really well in all three races.
I've been doing commentary and stuff, and with the Super Metroid community and randomizer stuff. And I have to say that was the most exciting match I have ever seen. That's just that game 3. Oh my god! And we do have Azder joining us. GG's, man. That was amazing.
Hello.
Do you want to know what the difference was?
There's a
The biggest difference? I mean, there were other little things. There were some things you skipped that Zoast didn't, but there was one non-skip you did in particular.
What was that?
You got a speed booster in Heat Crystal Flash Clip.
Oh yeah, of course.
That was, you know, you went down to that sand pit and we're like, okay, he's safe scumming the sand pit. Maybe he gets ice or speed or something. Because I know you can do the, you know, we've talked about this before. I know you can do the Crystal Flash Clip. I know it's not your favorite thing to do. But
It's
getting
like
that speed booster, yeah, covering, yeah.
You know, let me jump in real quick. I agree that was really great and was the difference at the end. But I actually personally think the play of the game that I really liked a lot was Azder. You did wreck ship first. You got the very first item.
Yep.
It was charge, and then you left.
Yep.
Thank you.
Now
That was beautiful.
Part of the reason why I think this is such a fantastic play in this scenario is because Zoast was also on the same path you are. He didn't full clear wreck ship. He never did bowling, but he went and checked the energy tank, which I think ended up being spring
ball,
which
yeah,
you know he got some utility out of for sure, but obviously not as much as the time investment. And I bet if you go back and look at the time investment of that one decision versus the end, I bet it was enough to make the difference.
You know, I completely forgot about. Yeah, that's a really good point, Kip. You know, I think you're right. And actually, we were talking about, you know, we were wondering, you know, we were talking about what do we want for game 3, and Kip's like, yeah, I wanted the gravity the gravity lower Norfair. I'm like, you know, I wouldn't mind a Sulis Meridia, but you're right. Yeah, the gravity Norfair, that's the one.
Anyway, we've been talking the whole time. Azder, tell us a little bit about, you know, like not only this race but just the match in general. You know, your thought process, some of the decisions you made. I mean, you played. Actually, the thing about it is, you and Zoast, if you go back and watch, both of you played very well in terms of the mic execution.
Absolutely,
it was really, really good. So, just talk to us a little bit about how you felt, and then some of the decisions and stuff that you made.
Most of my decisions were basically doing what I like, thinking about specifically what I felt like I needed to do to get an advantage, because I wasn't going to get it from movement.
Yeah.
And so just little things like stuff like I don't know if he checked the miner coming out of Green Hill Zone and he does meme route. I don't know if he does that.
He did. You both meme routed this one.
Okay. Stuff like that. Like I'm just like, okay, well I'll skip that and hope that the rest of the miners line up, because I'm pretty sure he's gonna go and check that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, maybe it's a super, but maybe there's enough on the way later. I just try to set up things so that they have a chance of advantaging me later, and I kind of play as if like a configuration that will let me win the seed is true, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It does. Real quick, before you continue, I have to point out the irony. Y'all did not pick up the exact same items, but Zoast has 34 and you have 33.
Yeah.
You have one less.
So close.
But you had the one that in the end like really made the difference.
Yeah,
so I found that fascinating.
I want to say Zoast had 2 extra supers. So
yeah,
there's the difference.
But let's talk about the race that you ended up losing, which I actually still think, like, a lot of times in randomizers, whether you win or lose is not necessarily indicative of your performance. Like, I actually thought you played really well in the second game and made good decisions. It's just like the way that everything kind of played out, it didn't favor towards your decisions, if that makes sense. But I still think you made a lot of good decisions when you did. So tell us a little bit about that one, because I think that one was one where you ended up pathing back up direct ship for a significant portion of the middle or something like that.
Yeah, that seed actually made me think of you, Kip, because you were saying the other day that you were going to retire high jump plus Avadai because it never ends up being useful. It only leads to energy tanks and Norfair and all the good items that are everywhere else.
Well, I was salty as hell.
Yeah, he was very salty
when the gravity suit was there. But anyway.
I imagine. I mean, so was I. I did. That was the last thing I wanted to see. I was hoping it was Spring Ball. That's why I was checking it.
Ah, okay. Yeah, in fact, I mean, you had to know Zoast was going to go for the high jump with lava dive, and even if that was in your repertoire, I feel like that still would have been the wrong play for you because you'd just be trailing him.
Yeah, for sure.
So the fact that you went back and got everything, and then all the suitless stuff showed up.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like I get high jump.
Does he gamble it? Does he just go into Meridian and hope that's the play? So
I don't know what happened to him for the rest of his seed in that, but I feel that with the time that he got, his beam.
Yeah, he had wave phaser.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, because like
long MB fight.
Because I saw that time and I was just like, well, I don't know what happened to him, but it turns out that if I had just grabbed high jump from X-ray and then just gone back down, or like I guess Plasma was in Wreck Ship. I can't remember.
Yeah, there were some beams in Wreck Ship.
But like
if you'd have done that though, you would have been in the same position he was in, where you probably wouldn't have had charge. Like the reason he slowed down so much at the end was because you had the items.
No,
from
wasn't charge a Croc for that
charge,
one?
Though?
Oh yeah,
charge a Croc. You already had it.
But I think you got Plasma or something. You got something at Wreck Ship that also added to the beam damage.
I got Plasma. Well, what I'm saying is that like I may have gotten charge in the end. But the big thing was the high jump, and I had enough supers for Ridley. Ridley wasn't going to be a big issue for me.
No, not at all.
It's just that when I got that high jump, I was just like, well, if I turn back now, I'm just going to be like on the same path as him.
You're still on the same path. So no, I think
so. Like,
I mean, you didn't win. It didn't win either game two, but I think all your decisions were the right decisions for the situation you were in.
Yeah, it was lining up so perfectly for like Gravity to be in Meridia and to have all that stuff that I did actually required, and the high jump plus lava dive be useless, and maybe he ends up having a really slow or lower Norfair, and I get the advantage back there.
Do yourself a favor, by the way, and go watch his Mother Brain fight, though, because earlier in that race, I mentioned something about how a long time ago he told me he had tested some X Factors on Mother Brain 2 or whatever, like for back in the day when he was like trying to figure out any percent, like could he skip space or not, and he ended up doing a bunch of X Factors on Mother Brain 2, which was really fascinating. So you should check that out. You'd really like it.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, in the race room, as Zoast had talked about, you probably read it, about doing something really dumb. That's what I'm assuming that's what he referred to, because he lost a little bit of health there and almost dipped below. He ended up he didn't quite get. Obviously, didn't dip below the 300 that you need, but it was a little dicey there. You had to be a little careful there towards the end.
You know, I'm very, very careful to criticize players, and a lot of times my criticism is more like laughing at something that everybody would find funny, even if you did it. The only criticism I have of either player in this entire match is game 2, Zoast won, but Zoast had Speed Booster.
Yeah, I agree.
And somehow forgot he had Speed Booster and Crystal Flash to block him.
So he did it in 2 games.
Yeah, he did it in 2 games, and one he wasn't even required.
Yeah, and gosh, the worst part for him was he got it first try in the one he didn't need it, and it took like 3 or 4 tries the second one. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, y'all. Seriously, man. I mean, I know
you have to watch
right
this
now.
back.
Yeah, you're busy because you're in a ton
like
of
you should get into. Oh, she probably already watched it. You should get into a voice call with Polar Bear Bunny and watch this back when it airs.
Yeah. Do you have an idea what time it's going to air?
I wish I knew.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I really wish I knew, but I'll see if I can. I'll ping Feasel and see if he can get me that information.
Yeah, real quick, because I know we're going to have to wrap this up soon. I do want to say GG to Zoast. I mean, he really, really did have an excellent performance in all 3 races tonight. But as y'all know, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose.
Yep.
And he also has been doing really well in the 80% tournament too. So I'm really glad that he participated in this. A lot of people say, like, oh, they know him for his speed runs, and then they don't know that he's done much rando, but he's actually very good at rando, and in particular, he's done a bunch of dash, and I think this randomizer suits him really well.
It does.
Yeah, it really does.
Like in like Varia rando, I think I would have a much bigger advantage.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think so.
But anyway, no, that's okay. I just want to say congrats to you, Azure. I was saying this, I don't want to make a bigger deal of it than it is, but honestly, this is how I feel. I assume you probably do too. defeating Zoast at anything in Super Metroid is very difficult to do. So it's definitely something, to be happy and proud of. And also I just, Zoast should be proud too, because he played his tail off in all 3 races. So, but that means that now I get to play Azder again. And
I know. I was about to ask the question.
Azder has 2-0'd me. In I've only been in 2 randomizer tournaments or whatever, and he 2-0'd me and put me out of both of them. So
well, let's,
I feel like I've got a large mountain to climb here.
Promise me, Kip, that we're not going to see that chain damage again that we saw.
I certainly hope not,
because that was just, that's not a way you want a race to be decided.
Right. But no, for real, Azder, I know you're busy with a lot of other tournaments, and you're on a hot streak. So congrats to you, man, on making the Final Four of this. I'm really looking forward to racing you again. And I think we'll have a good time.
Yeah, we'll see if I can beat you at your own game.
Literally, right?
Either way, it's going to be a good matchup, and I'm looking forward to watching it. And maybe I'll get on some comms, but at least, Kip, you won't be able to join me, so I'll have to get someone else.
No, it'll have to be somebody different. I do find it cool though. One of the things I do like about facing Azder is not only just in terms of how competitive he is. I get geared up to play people that I think are like really top level players, so that excites me. But I think it's also cool that regardless of who wins, one of the players that made the championship match of the Rando League will be in the final of this tournament.
Yep. That is a very cool point.
Yeah,
and one of my cool. And one of my really good friends is going to make the final, so that makes me happy too.
That's right.
On the other side, I think Aussie and Becky and Cross.
Yeah, Aussie's waiting on Becky and Cross, and then
Slaughters.
And then Slaughters. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So some good names there as well. So. All right. Yep. We're going to have to wrap this up. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Kip for joining me at the last minute. Thank you to Azder and Zoast for putting on such a great race. GG's to both of them. I can't say enough good things about both these runners. Just friends of mine, good people. If you're not watching more, you absolutely should watch them. And of course, a big thank you to our tracker, Cheaty Face. The best tracker in the business, always willing to help out and push those buttons behind the scenes. SpeedGaming for setting this up, and Feasel and all the SpeedGaming crew. And I'm going to also shout out Sinak, who saved us when we had a few issues with one of the race ROMs. So I definitely want to shout him out. He has done so much work during this whole time, and just you can't say enough about there's probably people I'm missing, but all the SpeedGaming team. This has been a blast, and I don't know what's coming up next, but stay tuned, and I'm sure there'll be something great coming up next on SG Live.